Hello, everybody. Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to this very special live stream of Fury of Dracula. And it's another one of these show matches between two of the top players from our community, but we're going to be spectating it with open hands using the power of Discord so we can hopefully give more insightful commentary and hopefully that will mean as a learning tool, as an educative tool, it'll be a lot more informative. That's hoping anyway. Hopefully I'm wide enough awake for this. We'll have to see. Hello everybody. So yeah, we're streaming this live on Twitch. So everybody on Twitch chat, feel free to say hi to YouTube. If you're watching this back on YouTube, thanks for checking this out. All links down below in the YouTube video to not only my Twitch, but also all of the other people from the Fury of Dracula community who record games. And we've got an upcoming tournament, the League of Dracula. The trailer for the video has just been shown to everybody on Twitch. You'll find it on my YouTube channel as well. If you're watching this kind of around the time this video is being posted and you're interested in participating in the League of Dracula tournament, come and check out the trailer video on YouTube or come and find me on Discord and I'll give you all of the info. Here we are. So hello everybody. So we're going to get underway, so I'll quickly introduce the players before we get started. So we have Fangs of Fire is back again, of course. He participated in the previous two games that we did in this series. Both times Fangs of Fire was on Dracula, but has now switched over to the Hunter side, preparing for the tournament, because in the tournament you have to play on both sides of the board throughout the tournament, so you have to get skilled at both. So yeah, Fangs has decided to switch over to the Hunter side of the board. And on the Dracula side, we have WcKaczek. So I introduced Fangs of Fire in the other two videos, but as I said, a very quick recap. Now, one of the more experienced players in the community has been in the community now for over 2 years at this point, and has steadily increased in experience and also in ranking and in terms of the results that he's been getting during all the tournaments. So we'll have to wait and see what happens in the upcoming League of Dracula. WcKaczek playing as Dracula here today. We got a European participating in this little series we got going on, which is great to see. He is one of the definitely a highly skilled player too. Definitely more innovative from the Dracula perspective. There was a player who joined a couple of years before called Spencer Wolfhart, who really sort of introduced the concept to us, with Dracula returning to layers and doing some nasty strategies like that, which we'll hopefully get into during this game. But WcKaczek then joined the community sometime afterwards and has really taken that strategy on, but has really adapted it and has become very prolific as a player, utilizing those strategies. Very, very strong Dracula play indeed. Very has a very good intuitive sense of how the game works, and can be a very nasty player to play against if he starts returning to layers. He is not afraid to beat up the hunters and adapt his Dracula style depending on what the game requires. And he's not a half bad hunter player either. So yeah, we'll have to see if he competes in the league or not. But definitely if he does, another one to watch out for, that's for sure. So we got Terminus in the chat. Yeah, so Terminus competed with WcKaczek in the Duos and Dark Horse tournament that we did in the spring. And yeah, they competed together and they got very far into the tournament, made it to the semi-finals, and it feels like, was it second or third place in the league stage? So yeah, Terminus is going to be a little bit biased here, but that's okay. That's absolutely fine. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get into this. I can tell the players that we can get going. And yeah, so as we said, we're going to flip between their various perspectives. I'm actually going to stay on WcKaczek's perspective at the beginning because I want to see his starting hand of encounters. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's the thing with WcKaczek. It can either be a really fascinating game with lots of, you know, aggressive Dracula stuff or interesting plays, or he can just lose very quickly, depending on if the hunters are very awkward and jump on him when he's not expecting it to. We'll have to see. So, yeah. Good luck, good luck, good luck. Okay, I don't know what. Oh, I see. Okay. Oh my goodness, we got raided. I didn't even realize. Hello, raiders. Hello. Thank you for the raid. I'm really sorry. So we're playing some Fury of Dracula today, and we're doing like a spectator match. So I'm going to go quite in depth with this analysis and commentaries. It's not going to be as chilled out. If you want to stick around and listen to some Fury of Dracula digital board gaming, you're very, very welcome. All based on the classic Bram Stoker novel. Uh, So he started in Sophia. I didn't even see his starting hand because he's got quick animations, but I saw there was a Reckless Vampire. So we'll have to see what WcKaczek does from there. But it makes a lot of sense that Dracula's going to start east here, because as a very experienced Dracula player as WcKaczek is, he's able to abuse, the lack of movement that hunters have on the eastern side of the board sometimes. There's some planned ambushes though. That's pretty good for hunters. And also there can be this tricky situation where there's a lot of small cities in the east, so they can't resupply up easily, which makes his lair strategy very potent. That being said, really good start from Fangs of Fire. Got fast horses and got 2 of the white ones already. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one for sure. Yep, makes a lot of sense. Get those white ones over to Mina, so then Konami control the tickets more. So the big thing here, and I've noticed, I've played against WcKaczek quite a lot of times myself as a hunter player, and it can be very, very scary. It's probably one of the players I really don't want to play, just because he can be so aggressive, and you can get really beaten up against most other players. Um, Hoax is interesting. Where's he gone? Salonica. Okay, so he's going to try and get a Hoax mature if possible, or try and delay a hunter, which will then affect things later on. But yeah, he can be so aggressive with these layers, and you can just see, you can almost see it happening in front of you. You know what Dracula's going to do, but okay, I'm not sure why I've got a connection time message, and yet he can still do his tones. That's very strange. Well, whatever. So there you go. Oh, he's going to search the east here. Could he find him already? Ooh. Oh. WcKaczek does have different tricks up his sleeve, but the East is very strong, and you've probably seen it before with when I've done, obviously I'm, in this case, Fangs is an experienced player too. Okay, can only search one location because it was an ally, that's fine. But because the East is so difficult to navigate, because you need perfect movement to make it work, you need perfect items, otherwise you're going to be in a real sticky situation. So few big cities to supply, and WcKaczek can manipulate, depending on the encounter hand that Dracula has, can really manipulate the hunter player and push them into really bad situations. So yeah, Dracula hasn't been discovered yet. Sophia is definitely. Oh, okay. Well, Jonathan Harker is actually kind of nice in this situation because it puts a lot of pressure off. The hunters can just sort of sit and wait and heal up a lot if there is any trouble in the east. And Jonathan Harker can do a lot of the deductive work for you. And got the last white one. So this is actually a really good start for Fangs. There's still a lot of things that have to get. He has to sort of get into place. But right now, if I got all of my, my white one tickets found within 2 days, I'm a very happy hunter player. So this is good. Yeah, the 3 glue tickets, as Tony is saying, have been found very, 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 very fast. So that's good. And also that means that Mina can just keep doing psychic scans. So Dracula's actually really restricted. He can't go that far west. So he is very much pinned in where he is. So what's he doing? Oh, he's hiding in Salonica. Very interesting. Okay, that's not what I was expecting WcKaczek to do. He really wants that hoax mature. Very interesting. Something that, if you're familiar with the Fury of Dracula meta, you'll notice that WcKaczek did not misdirect his initial sign location, which is Sophia. So that means if Fangs of Fire here draws a newspaper reports, he will get found more quickly. However, WcKaczek might be keeping that open as a possibility to return later and try and do some lair shenanigans. Sister Agatha, really, really good here. I'd probably ally, actually, because you know what WcKaczek's like. He can play aggressive Dracula stuff, and just having Aggie in your back pocket to make those fights a little bit less advantageous for Dracula, especially if there's a 1v1 fight or something, I personally would have allied there. But that's just me. Does he have surprising return? I don't think so. I haven't seen it. But to be fair, this game has been played. I know the first week is often played very quickly anyway, but it's flown by very fast. So I don't think he's got it. There's 2 planned ambushes, and they're on the eastern side of the board, so that's great. We've got a renewed vigor as well. So that's pretty good. That's a very good start. Um, but no, it doesn't look like it's a surprising return. I personally would have allied Aggie there. When you've got Jonathan Harker, it's quite difficult to get to that initial location, but still. Um, yeah, just keep psychic bonding. Just, I mean, I know he's nowhere near the border yet, but just if Dracula is east, it very much prevents him from doing anything in terms of going west. Because Dracula can sometimes try to take a turn where he sneaks into Austro-Hungary and then sneak back out again. Obviously, Dracula could have started somewhere else. Okay. I mean, yeah, I get it because of Jonathan Harker. Maybe you just want to keep Jonathan Harker in, which I completely respect too. Oh, right. So WcKaczek is just playing his turn so fast I can't even see what he's doing. So he's put down bodyguards in Valona, I think it was. I might ask him to just just make the animations a tad slower. But there's a horse over there. Oh, there's a surprising return. Okay, never mind. So it was a good decision to search with Aggie then. Yeah, definitely at the moment, the hunters are having a good run of things. We'll have to see. Vampire Lair is also potentially quite good here. If there is some sort of stuff that Fangs has to let mature because of um, because it's the East and sometimes you can't deal with everything because it's too dangerous to check certain encounters, then you can just use a Vampire Lair to sort it. The only problem is there's a lot of events on the eastern side, so they're going to have to do some trading. Um, Otherwise, Godalming might have to throw away an event. Mina might have to throw away an event. You're going to have to take a little bit of a risk here with one of them. So we'll have to see. But yeah, at the moment it's going the Hunter's way, but I guess the question is how quickly are they going to discover the Salonika location? If the Salonika location is discovered, can they deal with it? Can they stop the hoax? If the hoax is quite a powerful one, then Dracula might be able to do some nasty things. We'll just have to see. Um, with the meta that we play, Dracula doesn't really get event cards very much. The event cards are just there in the deck to basically stop the hunters from night supplying freely because of the risk of giving Dracula an event, but also for like filling out the deck so the hunters aren't just taking an event every single time. So yeah, but a hoax can be pretty good here. And yeah, WcKaczek is very clever at using events, even though he probably doesn't get them very often. He is very much like in the way that Dracula should be played, quote unquote. He's not there, that makes sense. In the sense of, you know, being a little bit sort of predatorial and trying to pick off weak hunters. You can't go gun-ho as Dracula and take on all four hunters because you'll just die very quickly. So it's very much a case of trying to find a weak one, finding a weakness inside the group, and then really preying on it. He's very good at that, so we'll have to see. So he's in Valona right now. That's good. I wonder what he's going to do here. Is he actually going to misdirect? Because obviously next turn, Sophia would be revealed when Jonathan Harker activates. But WcKaczek doesn't know if Fangs has a newspaper report or not. He doesn't. But obviously, Dracula doesn't know that. So he doesn't know would Sophia be revealed this turn or not. I wonder what he's got in mind. If he thinks he's not under too much threat, he could go to like Sarajevo and then Belgrade and then lair Sofia and go back to it. He obviously doesn't want to get pounced on too early, but then there is the hoax mature behind it. WcKaczek is also a Dracula player who doesn't mind taking early damage, or a fight early, and even if it goes a little bit badly for him, if the hunters have burnt resources, he can then get that health back later from Discordant Soul Matures, or feeding, or going to the castle, or something else. Or maybe he doesn't need the health. He'd just rather the hunters use up a lot of their strength. So So I wonder what he's going to put into Sarajevo. Okay, he's putting a vampire. Makes sense. We need to get a little bit of vampire pressure on here. Oh, there's actually two. There's one in Valona. That's very interesting. So are you going to rumour this? Yes, you are. Okay, okay. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Draculas don't have to use their rumour tokens instantly. Some Dracula players do because they want to try and put early pressure on the hunters, and especially if they play it first. But because there's a hoax here in front of it, that's why the rumour token is a little bit delayed. Great strength is very good. Okay, I'm not quite sure why Godalming still has 3 events after that trade. Maybe Fangs doesn't want Speedy Telegraph? I would keep Planned Ambush here, in my opinion. That's just me. The players can't hear me, by the way, in case you're wondering. I'm sure I'm muted. That'd be awkward if they can hear me. No, I'm definitely muted. So yeah, Forewarned, good card, good card. Oh, very good. Okay, so getting a lot of good items and things. It's just a case of how they're going to deal with this hoax. But the thing is, because Sophia is going to be revealed, and the thing is now Dracula can't stop that. So actually, it means that Fangs is going to get the information. Oh, he's on newspaper reports anyway. I was going to say, if that newspaper report wasn't going to be drawn, he would actually get the information. Oh, I would have actually used that immediately there, because when Dracula's turn happens, the trail would automatically slide, and the first space, which is Sophia, would be revealed. So with the two, with the Sophia, there's the first location, and then I guess it'd actually be the hide, but Fangs doesn't know that. The hide card is the third spot. The one in the middle would be revealed automatically. You'd kind of be able to deduce where it is. There maybe be a choice of 2 in this case, but I understand it that Fangs wants to guarantee, finding out where that first location is. It's going to be very difficult because there's a saboteur there. That's going to be very difficult to try and deal with this hoax. They don't have what we call express movement. So, yeah, they're going to have to go via Sarajevo to get to Salonika, but the problem is Dracula is sitting there. Okay, and then this is going to also threaten a little bit here when the fact that he sees this, he might think, is Dracula in Sarajevo, so hunters will jump on top. Yeah, it's going to be double reveal. Yeah. So... Okay. So WcKaczek wants to stay east here. Kind of makes sense. He doesn't want to go towards Seward, because Seward's a real unknown quantity right now. He's hoping that he can maybe, depending on what the hoax mature is, and if Kadami and Mina get really hyper-focused on that rumour token, he might be able to sort of run rings around them a little bit. You'll have to see, or maybe sneak past them westward once they've gone east then. And we'll have to see. So there's the newspaper. There we go. So this is going to be tricky. How do you deal with this? Fangs can get there with 2 perfect horse rolls. But he's going to have to step into an encounter which he doesn't know what it is. But also, there's also the saboteur there. So, he would need a forewarned, because the saboteur would trigger when he arrives, which will delay him at night, which means he can't search. And that's going to be tomorrow's turn. So, yeah, that's going to be quite tricky. He might have to send both hunters, but then the real issue, there's a lot of risk going on here, because Dracula could be in Zagreb. He's not, but he could be in Zagreb, which means if both Mina and Godalming go eastward, Dracula's just going west for free, and there's not being punished for it. In the end, he's not actually doing that. But this is the thing that, as a hunter player, you got to try and think about. I'm going to quickly go over to WcKaczek's side here. I'm more interested in seeing as my microphone is obviously meant. I just realized I wasn't sharing the Discord audio. There we go. Okay, so he's going to try and play defensive. He hasn't got any fangs to try and get any points. Oh, he's saying, wow, that's enough. Yeah, it's not a good reckless draw. You need Mesmerize and Fangs. In the end, it didn't actually matter too much because Kodami decided to... What did he do? He punched, right? So what WcKaczek trying to do here is he's counting the item discards and trying to work out what cards Godami could be holding on to and how Godami's going to try to approach this fight. Plotting into a dodge. Okay. 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 So he's got a Fangs. So can he get a point here? But the thing is, we know Godami's actually got a knife. So he could play the Fangs here, and then Godami actually plays knife. But obviously, WcKaczek doesn't know what Godami has. So he's just trying to deduce it. So he's playing Fangs. Is it going to be a knife? It is the knife. Well played by Fangs there. Does 3 damage, because there's no Mesmerize. Now, the plotting's still active, so Dracula here could stop a punch attack. I probably would have kept the strength for next turn, but I could be wrong there. There's probably a greater plan here. I'm not the best at combat, so WcKaczek probably got a plan. Okay, he just wants to guarantee 2 damage onto him. Makes sense. I guess, is there, if the hunter here has the vampire rather has escape as missed, he can just escape here for free. He can mesmerize. What happens if Godami punches? This is risky. This vampire could actually die here. And that's quite a lot of pressure that's gone from the board. Because obviously the other one is just an aristocratic. Fangs doesn't know that, but as a Dracula player, you actually need to kind of keep these encounters alive as much as possible. Good punch, good punch, good punch. So yeah, vampire's dead. Got no points out of it. Godami took some damage. That was because I'm stupid. I forgot I used my plotting. Ooh, okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. WcKaczek hasn't played for a while, it seems. Oh dear. I would have escaped as missed. Okay, okay. So yeah. Maybe there's a little bit of rust going on. This is what happens. So that's why people are trying to practice before the tournament. So yeah. Slight mistake. But the thing is, that mistake is rather crucial because... Sorry, as I plug in my other laptop. It's removing a lot of pressure from the eastern side of the board. Shame it was just a minion, he said. But the thing is, this is something that Roscoe said a lot as an older player of the community. If you don't know who Roscoe is. If you watch my old videos, you'll know who Roscoe is. You need to, as Dracula, you need to use your encounters to sort of slow the hunters down. The minions are all kind of the thing that win you the game. Even if Dracula gets the killing blow on a hunter which wins the game or something, you are still very much using those encounters to soften up the hunters, to deduce what items they have, and then you pounce at the right time. I think Roscoe's fine. I don't know if he's in the mood to compete, though. But maybe, you never know. There might be a commentary or two in him. We'll have to see. So there's a trade going on. So you don't normally day trade. Okay, he's backed out of it. That's okay. So yeah, the hunters here are in a bit of a sticky spot in the sense they don't know where Dracula is. Is he in Zagreb and he's trying to go west for free, or is he going back further into the east? But they've also got Salonika to deal with. They've got this rumor token to deal with. Tricky decision. Tricky decision. This is where maybe if you know your opponent, you can kind of maybe try and deduce what it is they're going to try and do. Is WcKaczek a player who is likely to go west here, to go east, or, you know. There is a forewarned, but the problem is it's on Seward, and because now Van Helsing's in the sea, he can't trade it. So maybe Fangs is just going to ignore Salonika and just hope it's nothing too bad, because there's no point going there if you can't stop it. He did kill a vampire for free, which is very good. So yeah, at the moment it's actually going all right. I think what's going to happen here is Dracula will probably get the hoax mature. Is what I'm going to guess what's going to happen. But then the hunters will be in a good position to follow up. So it doesn't have the movement, unfortunately, but that's okay. That's okay. There's still plenty of time. So yeah, is Dracula going to go back to Sophia? Maybe, maybe not. Um, I I think the allure of going to Sofia is just too great for WcKaczek. He's just too keen to go back to these locations. So I would have moved Mina into Sarajevo personally. But yeah, he did go back into his lair. So there's 2 encounters now in Sofia, spy and a bodyguard. So that's a nice combo. Um, so yeah, I think the allure of the lair is too strong. So I think maybe Fangs could have maybe predicted that, but sod's law. The one time you think he's going to go back to the lair, he does, and he goes west, and then you're chasing after him for the whole game. This is going to be tough. It's going to be very tough for... Salonika can't be dealt with, so maybe Gadami is just going to deal with Valona, but this could be like a fake rumor token with a bats, and then he gets battered into Dracula. That could be really bad. But yeah, so what Fangs is doing here is kind of cutting his losses a little bit, saying I can't really stop this Salonika thing because I'll need some sort of forewarn to deal with the hide, unless the hide is a fake card. But let's assume it's not. There's no point going there if you can't stop it. So, and then this is good. Mina's now moving in, so Godalming will deal with Valona. Mina's on a free spot, and then suddenly there's not really much trail to deal with for a bit. So yeah, it's actually looking quite good here. Obviously, the big thing's going to be what if Dracula can get a top tier event card from this hoax mature, then that could be game changing. The way that he can leverage that advantage. If it's something that is only good in a specific situation, or if he holds onto it for too long and doesn't utilize it, the hunters might be able to pounce on him. But I don't know if Fangs wants to take an early fight here. There's just too much risk. I mean, they got double planned ambush. If Gadami could just get another item in his hand, which is combat related, then it could be good. They dealt with the aristocratic vampire. That's very good. Maturing the hoax makes sense. Okay, what have we got? Wild horses, summon storms, another wild horses. Wild horses is better since the update a year ago. So definitely something you could consider here with... Oh, there's only 4 cards? Yikes, that's not good at all. I think maybe you do keep wild horses here. Especially since we know... WcKaczek doesn't know. But we know that there's a definite renewed vigor over on the hunter side. Wild horses can really fuck around with renewed vigor plays because of the you can trigger it at the second movement and all that sort of stuff. All right, so WcKaczek's trying to be a little bit sneaky here, and he doesn't want to reveal what's in that hide card. Obviously, hide cards don't reveal, so we won't find out from a hunter perspective. But it could have been a fake encounter, which is definitely something you could do against a more experienced player. With newer players not normally just chase encounters anyway, so you would probably want to put a delaying encounter. But if it's against an experienced player, you might be able to make them think, oh, it's a saboteur or fog or bats. There's no point me going there if I can't stop it, and then it's actually not those things. But then again, WcKaczek says Wild Horses is S tier Drac event, and he is right. Oh, we'll have to see. Oh, okay, I see. Oh, we got a little bit of lag on WcKaczek's side. Hope it's not me. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, actually. We didn't see a lot of it in the previous league. It'd be interesting to see... I had to play a game in the Duos and Dark Horse tournament against... And I knew that the opponent had it, because there's obviously the prompt. That's the only downside of Wild Horses. Fangs is going to deduce really quickly what the event card is. So you might be able to work around it. That's the big problem. I think if there was no prompt to tell you that was that's the event card, if I don't know how you could do that in digital, but if that was the case, if there was no prompt, then I think it's top tier because you could pull it out at a really disadvantageous time when you're trying to get a hunter into a good fight or something, just completely push them away, and also pushing them into an encounter and all this sort of thing. The problem is now, for most of the game, we're now going to see this prompt saying, oh, we're waiting for Dracula to move. Problem is now, Dracula's in Bucharest. Oh, no, he's going to Varna. Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah, so his Fang's now going to say, oh, I know what it is. Yeah, that's the only downside with that card. So yeah, not a very strong choice. Fangs definitely had the luck of the early draw, getting the third fast horses now, but not putting a lot of Dracula cards into the event deck. So that just makes, there's no Emmanuel Hildesheim or Unearthly Swiftness or even something like, I don't know, Enrage or Nocturnal Visit, something like that, where maybe WcKaczek will be able to use that to, gain a lot of imp. I hope you would think that. I like WcKaczek here trying to troll him a little bit, but there's no way that Fangs can be deceived by this prompt. It's definitely wild horses. Ooh, slow horses. I don't know. This is hard because obviously Amina has to move, but there could be a bats around here which could put it into a very vulnerable position. I think. Do you still be aggressive and go into the Sophia layer? Maybe. Maybe. Oh, you could. Yeah. Oh. Dracula could have used wild horses there to push Mina into his location. That is the really tricky thing about this. She does have planned ambush, though. So it does make her a little bit threatening. Godalming and Mina are quite well protected against Dracula. If there's going to be some sort of combat related scenario, because they both got planned ambush. Yeah, this is good. This is looking really strong. Seward is very well equipped here. I don't know. I think I'd take the Heavenly Host in, actually. Because you might get a situation where you can jump on top of Drac and maybe use it. But I understand it. Oh, no. Okay. Yeah. Keep Van Helsing with weak items. He's going to be supply bot. So, yeah. What was in Belgrade? Oh, Saboteur. Okay. Not exceedingly threatening. I think you'd have to be very, very sure Wild Horse would get you a kill to use it. Yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, this is why Mina's in a very risky situation, because Mina could get moved in on her own onto Dracula's space, because nobody else can then react to it because she moves last in the turn. Oh, I should be looking at Dracula's screen, and I forgot. Okay, Klausenberg makes sense. You're going to try and make your way westward a little bit. Ooh, putting a hoax. Okay, so the reason why Dracula's putting something like a hoax here is because he knows that he's not under threat on this turn. Mina is delayed, and the other hunters most likely can't get to him unless there's some ridiculous renewed vigor, sense of emergency charted carriage play going on. So yeah, he's very safe to put down something like a hoax, which doesn't have any sort of strong ambush encounter, which doesn't have an ambush effect at all, but it doesn't damage. That's the point. So he puts that down now, and then save the damage encounters for later. Mystic Research is excellent. Very unfortunate that Godalming drew it. He's now going to have to get rid of something. I don't know. This is difficult. If we go by the very professionally made tier list video I did with 3 other members of the amazing community, where we ranked the Hunter events, I would say that Planned Ambush is the weakest here, but there is also an argument that keeping Planned Ambush is actually superior, because if you can get a good 2 or 3 on 1 with 2 Planned Ambushes in the fight, I think you might be able to get him. That might be enough to kill. I guess the question is, if you use Mystic Research, what is it you're trying to find with Mystic Research? That's the question. That's the question. So Seward's moving in. So now the problem is Dracula's in a little bit of a danger. He's got Wolf Form available, so it's not too bad. But he's in Klausenberg here, and now Seward's coming in. So there is a bit of risk. Oh, goodness me. Second renewed vigor. That is, so these are quite some event draws. But sometimes the deck gives, and sometimes the deck takes away. The deck is a very cruel mistress sometimes, but when it's working for you, you don't complain. You don't complain. So yeah, they have to go get that Mystic research. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if the loss of planned ambush is actually gonna hurt Fangs here. I guess if you've got 3 hunters over there and you can just overload him with double renewed vigor, then maybe you don't need the second planned ambush. Also, you've got Aggie as well, Sister Agatha. Mina having planned ambush, I think, is very important. So yeah, WcKaczek's in quite a bit of danger here. He could just get jumped on. The wild horses can be used as a good protection, but he has to use it extremely well and has to use his wolf form very, very efficiently here. You know, he hasn't wolf formed yet. He has to use it very well. So layering Valona with mob. Okay, he's just keeping rats, which is kind of it's interesting. Yeah, so WcKaczek has got to really respect the ability of Fangs here to jump in on him and kill him very fast. That's the thing. WcKaczek always plays very, very close to the line. In terms of, like, Fangs does it in a different way, where we saw Fangs doing a lot of the Central European shenaniganry in the couple of other streams we've looked at, where he does take some risk and goes beside hunters. Could get jumped on. Sometimes gets away with it. Sometimes he doesn't. WcKaczek plays it in a slightly different way. He's playing very, very close to the edge of what Dracula can do, and it can mean he can just get pounced on and killed. So we'll have to see if he gets away with it here. But as I said, I've said it before in other videos and stuff. You have to take risks as Dracula, and sometimes taking an early risk is better than a later risk, because the hunters are more likely to be equipped later. But I like this, putting down the rumor token, because you are kind of putting a little bit of time pressure here on the hunters. They can't just sit and wait forever. They're going to have to decide, do they do these encounters? Do they just jump on you? Do they kind of do a bit of both, but maybe they don't do both? You know, they don't do either thing very well. Gadami has to move here. Okay, he's going to do a... I mean, the thing is, because of the wild horses, WcKaczek could... Nope. Interesting. Okay. So he's going to ambush with Spy. The reason why he's doing this is because he'll ambush with the Spy to get rid of a weapon, and then when you search the bodyguards... that's a graphical bug. That encounter's not revealed. The bodyguards will do double damage, but Gadami has another weapon. So yeah, Dracula's in Budapest. He's in number 11 right now. So Sud's about to go past him. This is risky because Dracula can now wolf form out of danger. He could get into Vienna then wolf form out. We'll have to see. We'll have to see how this goes. Sud could have easily moved on to Budapest there. But then, at the same time, it'd only be a 1v1 because he could use Wild Horses on Mina to stop her from coming into the fight. So, yeah. I think the way the Huns are going to do this here is just they're going to try and... yeah, if they can deal the trail faster than Dracula puts it down, they'll be able to sort of then really focus on chasing after him later. And this is kind of something that I was even contemplating about after watching these couple of games, you know, with Pizza Wizard playing as Hunters and Stuff playing as Hunters. And it wasn't a reflection on their Hunter play or anything. They were two very good games and they were extremely close. But I'm almost wondering now if really passive Hunter play is not actually the way to play. It can work in a lot of circumstances if you get the right events, but if you are a lot of the time having to put a lot of faith in your use of the events. If you do kind of what I assume Fine's going to do here, where you can deal with the trail really, really fast, and you have like maybe 3 hunters dealing with the trail, you just eliminate that trail so fast that then Dracula has no pressure on the board at all. And then you just chase after him, and then he has nothing left. You do need to make sure you stay restocked and supplied and things. Sometimes when you're playing very passive hunters, it can be quite tense if you've got a critical encounter you have to deal with and you're having to rely on the perfect horse roll or the perfect item combo to deal with it. It can make things a bit tense. So, I don't know. There was something just popped into my mind when I was after reflecting on some of these games. I was thinking, is passive hunter play really the way to go? Okay, interesting. So Mina's going to be delayed. So Dracula knows that she's not going to be a threat for a couple turns. So the main one is Seward, because he knows what Gadami has in terms of items. So he's got to try and navigate around Seward. Fangs has been very likely. 5, 3 night supplies. Was it 5? Did he... Oh, I didn't even see that. Did the Mystic Research... Was it 4 or 5 he got? I mean, that just can be the way it is, right? It seems like all of the Dracula events... Well, the Hoax Mature did happen, by the way. So the deck did get shuffled, but it seems like, yeah, a lot of the Dracula events were not shuffled to the top of the deck initially, and now there are very few on the bottom of the deck with the Mystic Research, because when Hoaxes mature, all the other Dracula cards, which Dracula doesn't take, get shuffled back in. So, yeah, the deck is definitely working out for Fangs here, but at the same time, when you're playing against WcKaczek, you need every little bit of help you can get, but this is still very tense, and Fangs has to work very hard here to make this work. I would go to Klausenberg personally. I don't. I mean, I know you need to supply up and stuff, but now if he's not in Constanta, then you're really far out of position. And what was it? If this is like a bats or something, and he pushes you into him, and you know what his items are. I'd rather just go to Klausenberg personally. So yeah, Fangs introduced it has to be Klausenberg. So what's Sue going to do? Sue going to try and deal with the trail? Is he going to jump on Jack to space? I mean, the funny thing is, Van Helsing could also actually get to Vienna, but he has no combat items. He has Holy Circle. Excuse me, he has Holy Circle. Ooh, not the time to get a poor horse roll. I don't know about going back to Klausenberg there. Would you really backtrack there? Maybe because of the risk of wild horses pushing you into. I guess you could then use Van Helsing's like sense of emergency as a reactive play, but the problem is Dracula has wolf form available. So this is the other thing that Dracula's trying to do here. He's not using wolf form, so anytime the hunters screw up, he can just wolf form past them or escape as bat, wolf form then from there, and then he's put a lot of distance between them and him. Local rumors, unfortunate. A double stake. She needs to really get... He really needs to get that vampire lair over to Van Helsing. Yeah, so WcKaczek's managed to get out of the east here, which I didn't think he was going to be able to do, but he has managed to do it. Just using those wild horses as a threat. If Fangs loses this game, I think one reason would be that he addressed the trail last turn. I don't know. It's a tricky one. Maybe. I think moving Seward as deep in as he did was maybe more of the error. It's a tricky one because I'm not playing. So again, everything I'm saying is through the caveat of I'm not playing. So it's much easier for me to say this. But I think you need to respect the Vienna, Zagreb, Munich triangle. I guess the other way he's maybe thinking about it is he's got double renewed vigor. So if he has to do a lot of catching up, he can do it because he's got the double, renewed vigor in hand. But yeah, maybe you're right, Snuff. Just if you know that Dracula's got wild horses, this kind of thing. When I had to play against a game, who was I playing against? I think it was Skybreaker in the Duos and Dark Horse tournament, where I knew Dracula had wild horses, and it was actually a real stressful thing for me to deal with because every single move I was making, I was like, if Dracula activates wild horses here, this screws up my turn and possibly next turn and the turn after, depending on what encounters occur. and is a real point of contention. But I had, because of the way the game sort of evolved, I had no way of baiting the wild horses out of Dracula. Whereas maybe here in this circumstance, maybe you do just say to Dracula, "Go on then, I'll jump on you. Use these wild horses to protect yourself." And if you can get a favorable combat where Dracula doesn't escape his bat, maybe you don't have to do damage to Dracula, but you keep him in place. He's forced to use wolf form sub-optimally and things. That could be a way you get around it. But now Dracula's got a little bit of breathing space here because he is out of the going to be out of the west. He's using his wolf form. Makes sense. Just with that little bit of extra distance between him and the three hunters. He knows Seward's delayed, so it's going to take them a bit of time to search. So, yeah. He could have also wolf formed back into the east to try to trick the hunters. That's also something else he could have done. But yeah. Also, throwing down a vampire here is nice. Because if they struggle to find that wolf form location, then, yeah, it could mature. And the thing is, the hunters have hypnosis too. So if they're really struggling to find Dracula after a wolf form, they can just use hypnosis, and that eliminates any doubt, and then they can just chase in that direction. So yeah, the hunters are still in a strong spot here. I just didn't like the Constanta move very much. I feel like, Godalming could have been in Belgrade by now. He could, or Belgrade, or where was he before? Was he in Sofia? I think he was. So he could have gone to Sarajevo, he could have gone up to Szeged or something. I think he would have been in a much better position. Maybe he thought that if he could have, but I don't think Sue could have got into Varna. Ooh, he jumped into a lair. Ooh, what's Dracula getting? Is he getting something? Is he getting good stuff? He's still only got one fog. Still only one fog in Dracula's hand, and behind the veil is a possibility. So Dracula's discarding up to 3 encounters. This is a really important thing, by the way. You don't have to discard 3. You can keep all 3 you're given if you want. Something I think a lot of players forget. Normally, to get your encounter economy up and running, you probably would discard 3, but then it depends on what you're going to do with your, the Sophia location that's going to fall off the trail and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's good. Getting those 3 free cards. There we go. English. Charter Carriage. Okay, good for Van Helsing. Yeah, I feel the Constanta move is actually more of the issue. I don't think he could have punished Dracula if he had gone. Well, I guess he wanted to find that out, but just checking Klausenberg tells you the same information, and it's more likely that Dracula's going west. So I think Godami should have checked Klausenberg, and then by extension, Sud could have gone to like Zagreb, or maybe jumped onto Vienna potentially, or something else. But we'll see. Still a lot of this way. I mean, how far are we? We're Friday week 2. So we got 10 days before Fury of Dracula kicks in, and Dracula gets points for every land move he makes. Okay, good spy. So Mina's going to have to resupply up. Unless she wants to keep moving like that, because there's no lucky find or anything like that. So yeah, now Dracula's going to layer something. He's going to layer Sophia. So I guess he must have kept an encounter left over for this purpose. Ooh. Got the second fog. Not fancying the desecrated soils. I guess he knows that they're not going to mature. It's very likely that the hunters have all their heavenly hosts already. But I think for encounter economy's sake, I think it's still worth it. But maybe not. Maybe he just wants to damage the hunters. Bats is very good there, especially in Strasbourg, because you can push them in lots of different directions and not give a huge amount of information. I like that a lot. Also pushing them back into the vampire in Nuremberg would also be a very nice combo. So yeah, Dracula has used 2 rumor tokens, so won't get 1 for another 2 days. So obviously that vampire in Nuremberg is not going to be available. It's not going to be able to be rumored, rather. Okay, now the hunters are trucking. They're having to check eastern spots. That's the problem. They're having to check eastern spots just in case he's backtracked, and that's a real issue. But Dracula still doesn't have any points. And without points, Dracula can't win. He has to get up to 13. If you can survive long enough in the 4th week, then he will get the points. But it's really hard against a really well-equipped hunter to get those points. Okay. Is this to try and do a hypnosis? Possibly. Maybe Fangs will just play hypnosis here and just get it over and done with. So that saves him spending turns now trying to search east or whatever. But hypnosis is going to be used. The other thing is, if it is hypnosis, he's in Strasbourg, and it's the only place in France, or in Gallia rather, that Dracula could have reached. So Dracula knows exactly where he is, and now that means 2 hunters are getting hit by the mob. So that's pretty good for Dracula to get some extra damage in. But it is Seward, and Mina's going to be stuck there a turn anyway once she uses the hypnosis. I assume she's going to use hypnosis. I assume what this is. This is what this is. I'd actually... I don't know about that. Oh, Lucky Find is good. I personally would have kept the Holy Circle. You just never know. Yeah, this is where you start that's a bit of a sticky spot. You're starting to have to discard in events, and that can be a problem. Oh, your Knight's applying. Okay, I didn't... Oh, okay, just get higher scouts off the bottom of the deck, so you don't need the hypnosis. Sarajevo's a lair. It's not lighting up. So that was maybe a misplay there by WcKaczek. He should have... dealt with that. But hey, Mina got a free supply in. I still think the hypnosis would have been really good, but if those high scouts had found Dracula, then it would have been better. But it's also really good because she has planned ambush, and now she has knife and heavily host. Really good combo. Really good combo with planned ambush. So yeah, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what Dracula's long-term plan is here. He's in the west. I guess he's just making the assumption that Van Helsing is not very well equipped. He's just going to stay still and supply all the time. But the problem is then Van Helsing is a really unknown quantity. We know that he's actually not that strong. I guess Dracula could actually discard these Desecrated Soils so they go back into his hand by the time the deck resets. So interesting. So Dracula is layering Aristocratic Vampire. So that gives you... I mean, the Hunters are never going to step on Bucharest again because they're too far west of it. But even though Vampires give you points, Aristocratic Vampires don't give you any sort of protection. They do in terms of delays, but if he wants to get the Hunters caught up in fights, he wants to batter them in combat, especially if a lot of stakes have been discarded. So Aristocratic Vampires don't help you with that. He'd rather have a damaging encounter like a rats or wolves or bodyguards or something. Or fighting vampires like the Reckless. Dracula's got quite a defensive hand right now with those 2 fogs, but all Fangs has to do is draw behind the veil, and one of them's going to be taken away. Will it happen before or after the encounter deck resets and reshuffles is the question. There's only 1 card left in the deck. So if there's a time that WcKaczek wants them to draw behind the veil, it'd be today. We'll have to see if the event deck is going to cooperate with that or not. We'll have to see. So yeah. There's quite a lot of tricky things here, because from Vienna, you can wolf form into Venice or Milan, so you can be going down the boot of Italy. You can wolf form north into Germania, so now Dracula's around Hamburg, Cologne area, or you could be going west. So, yeah, the fact that Sarajevo was a lair would actually really help Dracula, would really help the Hunters out there, because there's 1 less location they had to check. So, yeah. Yeah. And Sue's got low health. He's got to be a little bit careful here. There is a great strength on the hunter side, but still, you don't really want to be using that in this situation. You want to try to use it when you're in combat with Dracula, and you can just... Dracula thinks, oh, I'm going to kill you with a claws or something, and then you just completely stop Dracula from doing that. We have to see. So this is at the beginning of the game. I thought Dracula was going to do classic sort of layering shenanigans, but then it's ended up becoming sort of a classic sort of chase me around the board type of game. Okay, blood transfusion. You can get rid of that. The worst card in the game. All the heavenly hosts are there though. So yeah. Do you want a psychic scan? Maybe. Or do you want to send Mina to Zurich so you're spreading out? So it looks like Fangs is favouring the psychic scanning idea. Mina and Sue do have to kind of heal up a little bit. They've got to be a little bit careful here depending on how many encounters they jump on to. I'm going to quickly run a 2-minute advert for people on Twitch. Just to make sure that when we get to the finale of the game, there's no risk of an advert. I'll do a recap once the advert's done. Oh, I should have switched over to WcKaczek's board. So we don't know where WcKaczek is for a turn. He did go into Brussels. So has he gone into Le Havre? That's going to be my guess of where he is. Oh, okay. Oh no, hang on a minute. It's night. Never mind. They've got the... Gee, this is probably like the best supplies I've ever seen. So they got rid of Surprising Return. So no Sister Agatha. Also no search ability with Surprising Return. So that's really important. But you got Consecrated Ground. So that's really strong. That's very, very strong indeed. Are we going to see some... Actually, I'm trying to think. In the previous 2 games, have we seen Consecrated Ground? I think we did in the first game with Pizza Wizard, but maybe it was used in a way just to do some more damage to Dracula. It didn't actually kill. Because of the timing of that Consecrated Ground, it could be very, very relevant here. With a week to go until Fury of Dracula kicks in. Ooh, this is such a risky search, by the way. I thought they were going to Psychic Scan. Oh, man. Okay, so this is huge. The fact that planned ambush is having to get used like this. It doesn't really matter what she's going to reveal for now. Okay, so now the game's been turned on its head a little bit here. They've got to deal with this vampire, which is not rumoured, by the way. So they could just let it mature if they want to. I thought they were going to Psychic Scan. So yeah, this could... I mean, they could kill this vamp. But how much damage are they going to take? How much is this going to hurt? I guess they could just resupply up and they could heal and then Psychic Scan tomorrow, but then Dracula's just getting further away. Okay, strength into a punch. Okay, so good play there by Seward to not get a weapon broken. Okay, what's Fangs going to play here? Do you play the Heavenly Host? Ooh. Alright, everybody who's just come back from the advert on Twitch, we've just got a night combat with Sura and Mina against this new vampire, and Mina had to use a very valuable planned ambush there. Did not play the Heavenly Host. Very important. We're seeing WcKaczek's perspective here. So mesmerizing Seward makes sense because Seward just used punch, so you can mesmerize him for free unless he has a crucifix. But I think WcKaczek must have looked at the item deck and realized that maybe the 2 crucifixes are in there. So that's something as a Dracula player you have to keep an eye on that item discard pile. That's a real source of information for Dracula. Back in the old days, Dracula couldn't see the item discard pile. So it's really hard to tell what items were being discarded. But now Dracula can see every item that's been discarded, as per the rules. So, yeah, I don't know. So Seward's thing's going to get blocked here. Mesmerize into a gun. Okay, makes sense that you play an aggressive thing. But now Seward's mesmerized, but Seward has a knife. So this is actually really good here because the vampire can't escape in round 3. Has to wait until round 4. Oh, it doesn't even have an aggressive card, like a strength or something. So what I assume is going to happen here is that both of these hunters will play knives. WcKaczek here is going to try and Fang Seward to get a bite on him, but he doesn't know that Seward has a knife. Or maybe he does know that Seward has a knife. It's quite likely that he has a knife. But it's his only option. He had 3 escapes and plotting. So the first 4, those 4 are useless in this situation. He needed to get another Mesmerize or a Strength or something. So Seward's picked. Mina's going to pick. I assume it's going to be double knife. Worst case scenario here for Fangs is that one of the knives get broken, but that's not going to happen. Ooh, Seward dodged? Oh, wow. Did Mina... Please tell me that Mina played knife. She did... That was very risky, by the way. Because it could have easily been a strength onto Mina, and then that vampire would have still been alive. Very risky stuff over there, but it worked out for Fangs. Very good. Very, very good stuff there. So yeah, that vampire's dead. But yeah, the hunters didn't psychic scan, which I thought was going to be the objective. Oh, I need to go onto WcKaczek's screen. Where is he? 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 Okay, he's layering Klausenberg first. So he went from Nuremberg to Strasbourg to Brussels. Oh, he's in Brussels now. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I messed up my turns. So he did go into Le Havre. I predicted that 5 minutes ago. That was on record. Interesting. So he's maybe looking to go across into Bretagne, into like the UK. I can't remember if in the game it's called Britannica or Britannia, but never mind. Going across to the UK. Or if he's going to make his way down the west coast of France and into Iberia. The Hunters have CEG, Consecrated Ground, which is very, 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 very strong in this circumstance. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what transpires. Yes, anybody who's joining late, Dracula has wild horses. That's why we're seeing the prompt. So yeah, not being used yet. Not being used is... Ooh, is Van Helsing gonna like now start moving and potentially check? Ooh. Ooh. He could actually jump on Dracula's space. Wouldn't have any follow-up though. Yeah, but Dracula's quite safe because he's on a port city, right? So Dracula can just go to sea if he wants to. I think also because there's still quite a lot of doubt about exactly where he is. Hunters don't want to use Renewed Vigor sort of willy-nilly. Not discovering Paris is pretty key. Yeah, if Mina checks Geneva, that's going to tell the Hunters a huge amount of information here. It means he can't be in Clermont-Ferrand, so he's going to have to be Le Havre, Brussels, Amsterdam, Cologne, Frankfurt. Or Frankfurt, Leipzig kind of area. So we know that Dracula is north of the Hunters right now. So that's still a good move there. Bats is... I mean, good that Gadami searched it, but at the same time, Dracula gets a little bit of a reprieve here because he knows that Gadami can't move. Especially Gadami being the first... Hunter. Okay, I like this trade because you know Gadami's going to be delayed tomorrow, so there's a chance that Consecrated Ground will have to be used tomorrow. So having Van Helsing with it is pretty good. He can just activate it. I assume Dracula's going to play very safe and go to sea or stay on a port city, so Consecrated Ground will not be very effective. But, you know. This is where the asymmetry of this game is so cool, because we know the Hunters are really, really strong, but at the same time, so Dracula doesn't know that, so he's trying to deduce what the Hunters have, but also the Hunters don't know exactly where Dracula is, so they don't want to pull the trigger on all these really strong events, and then they suddenly get it all wrong. It's really cool that way. Okay, so Dracula has done what I thought was stay on the coast, is not going to sea just yet. Going to not another vampire going down. I think they're going to have to start getting some rumor tokens. There you go. Yeah. Hello, JB Philly. Hello, Joss. Hello, welcome in. especially for Joss, this is Fury of Dracula. I'm doing this video is also going to go up on YouTube. So I'm doing quite a lot of commentary here about the game or watching two players play. So I don't interact with chat so much. I apologize. After the game is finished, we can have a little bit of chat. So yeah, obviously Godalming's turn here is not going to be. I should actually be on Drac's screen here. It'd be kind of interesting to see what WcKaczek's trying to weigh up here. Maybe it's been done already. So yeah, okay. So Dracula's just moving him into Nuremberg because it's something that was already on the trail. It'd been better if there was a vamp there, but never mind. It is what it is. But yeah, but still, the hunters are still in a good spot because they're dealing with the trail. Yeah, I would check. Yeah, I'd rather check Cologne rather than Hamburg here because Cologne would still tell you a lot of information. WcKaczek still has those wild horses. He's going to have to use them at some point. You can also use wild horses as well as a diversion here. So what you can do is make the hunters think you've actually gone in a certain direction. But then they might not fall for it. I think as Van Helsing here, maybe you just check Le Havre. Because you want to... you could also supply, but the problem is you've got 3 really strong events. I'm just really worried you're going to have to discard something. I don't like that. Oh, okay, you just get a hired scout. Never mind. Never mind. Never mind. Wow, okay. Huge searches. Huge searches. So Frankfurt's ruled out. So you know that means Dracula is going to be west of Cologne, so west of where Seward is. He can't be further north. He can't be in Leipzig. Can't be in Hamburg. Could be in Amsterdam. But that's more north. So he's very much restricted to these 4 locations now. Mina's going... Yeah, okay. Mina's playing a little bit more defensive. She doesn't want to jump on Drac's space. Okay. But this might make Dracula think... Sorry, it might make the hunters think he's actually hiding in Amsterdam, but he's not. Luckiest man in the world. Well, you say that, but I mean, the number of times that I just get hide scouts are really crucial moments, especially when I played Speedy Telegraph. So, Mesmerize. Okay. Oh, I should be looking at Dracula's screen. Oops. That's fine. Mesmerize is good. Don't worry, Joss. What we can do, if you're still lurking, Joss, after we finish this game, I'll very happily explain the game a little bit, or... It's hard for me to explain exactly how the game works and also give a commentary on it. But just, if you're here for the vibes, that's cool. Okay, strength into a punch. Okay, so Mina really feared the plotting there, or maybe tried to do a punch-knife combo. But Mina's just taking 3 damage, which could really restrict her ability to jump in on Drac later. Hey, Skybreaker, welcome in. Okay, good, stopping the knife. So yeah, Mina wants to try to kill this without having to use stakes. I haven't looked at the item discard pile once. I don't know how many stakes have been discarded. Van Helsing just discarded 1. Oh yes, other people in chat can also tell you, Joss. Thank you, Philly. Okay, good dodge on the Fangs. Okay, so yeah, Fangs is playing this combat pretty well. So the vamp hasn't taken any damage, but it can be very hard to kill these vamps. Just in case anybody's watching, not only are we showing off this game, but we're also trying to promote our new tournament, the League of Dracula 2025. The registration for it is open. I will play the trailer again at the end of this match, so you can see that. Fang again, into the knife. Okay, so yeah. But Vamp only takes 2 damage because Mina is mesmerized. So yeah. So yeah, actually in the end, not too bad. Mina only took 2 damage. Vampire didn't die, but, you know, it was pretty even. 2 damage each. No points. So yeah. not bad. Not bad, not bad, not bad. Oh, WcKaczek's writing something. We'll see what that was in a sec. I have to do a Dawn. I knew I should have clawed. Okay. Don't worry, everybody. It'll go up on YouTube on Friday. So yeah. It stays on Twitch for 2 weeks, but I'll also make sure it goes up onto YouTube. So yeah. If you check the channel on Friday at 6 p.m. Spanish time, you'll see it. So, yeah, tough call here. Tough call. Because Fangs knows that Dracula is on a port city right now, which basically means that Cosmogren is useless. So, yeah, it's just trying to decide what is... decide what's going on. And what trades are going to be done here. The trading ability is so important. Okay, interesting that you give Lucky Find over to Seward. Maybe try and get a stake. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I should have done that in combat, exactly. Hey, Strider. Okay. I don't really know why there's a night supply going on there. I mean, yeah, I'm getting another event, but I feel like the healing is actually more important. Maybe try and get a stake. These are two of the more experienced players in our community, Josh. So yeah, I mean, this commentary is a little bit different because I'm actually seeing their hands through Discord. If I was just spectating normally like we do in tournaments, I wouldn't see their hands, so there'd be a lot more uncertainty about what's going on. Hey, Strider. Oh, you beat Fangs last night. You see, that's the thing with the community now. Everyone's so good that everybody can beat everybody on a given day. It makes it so competitive. So if you're watching this, and you're interested in competing in the League of Dracula tournament, sign-ups are now open. If you're watching this on YouTube, links, I'll leave a link in the comment, or join the Discord. Or if you're already in the Discord, look at the announcements. Registration's open. If that was the case, Strider, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be doing this stream. Hey, oh, Skybreaker, you legend. I'm sure you'll probably, you and Strider will want to face each other about 1,000 times again. We're going to try and restrict that this time. Okay, so Dracula's playing a little bit risky here. Oh, maybe not. It's backed out of the move. Clermont-Ferrand's a very risky move here, because you could get CG'd off, you know, the Marseille or Bordeaux ports, and then you're really stuck. He does have Wolf Form available, which is an advantage here for Dracula. He can make this move work, but ooh, okay. So this move tells also the Hunters that he's not in Amsterdam because he can't go a third space there. So yeah, this is big. This is big, but there is also the Wild Horses. So Dracula's gonna have to use them really effectively. Terminus is saying RV now. Okay, so there's a little bit of lag in the chat and stuff, but it definitely, yeah, you definitely got the same idea. Yeah, this is gonna be tricky because you got to try and catch him. Yeah, if you can use CG on Clermont-Ferrand here, I don't know if actually jumping onto Dracula's space here is the most important. If you can surround him so that his wolf form out of Clermont-Ferrand is very weak with the CG, I guess you need to make sure he's not in Bordeaux because you don't want to CG and he's just sitting on the port. But you could get a really good fight in here. You could potentially get a 3-on-1. This is tough. But yeah, I guess I assume Suit's going to go into Clermont-Ferrand. Oh no, he's rained out of Bordeaux. Oh, he could have got a 3-on-1. Oh my goodness. Like, I mean, Dracula would have activated the Wild Horses at that point. So yeah, this is awesome. So yeah, Hunters know the only way that you get from Brussels to Nantes is to go through Le Havre. So Dracula can't be in Le Havre right now because he didn't misdirect. He's in Clermont-Ferrand. He's definitely in this space. So now the Hunters are trying to deduce: do they jump on him 2-on-1? Do they play CG? Oh, interesting. So WcKaczek saying I don't need wild horses to benefit from it. That's very interesting. Your your very knowledge makes you play in a more costly way for you S tier card. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that when I had to deal with it against you, Skybreaker, in the Duos of Dark Horse tournament. Just the fact I know you've got wild horses makes the hunters play in a slightly different way. Um, Unless you just bulldoze your way through it or you bait out the wild horses. But the fact that, yeah. So Fangs is showing us about the consecrated ground. So yeah, that's the way you sort of work around it. Um, Interesting. Interesting. Uh, he will have wolf form back. That is true, but depending on how the hunters position themselves, it can be really difficult here to use the wolf form really effectively. Dracula does have 2 fogs, so this is not a sewn up deal here. There's a lot of tactical stuff. Sorry, there's weird noise in the street. There's a lot of really tactical stuff going on here. Yeah, the digital edition has been around for, I think, almost 6 years, 5, 6 years at this point. But yeah, as Skybreaker said, the physical edition of the game has had 4 different editions, and the game has been reworked each time. I think the first one came from the 1980s, I think. But the most recent edition came out in like 2016, 2017, something like that. So yeah, it's got a bit of a cult following. It's not the most popular game, in terms of like not a lot of people would have it in their collection, but the people who do have it are really sort of passionate about it. And it's got quite a lot of history attached to it. Do you still have night supplies? Hmm. I didn't think you still had night supplies. Okay, this is really tricky here. Okay, so that's all the Mystic Research supplies gone. Actually, rail tickets here are even more valuable because you can sort of circumnavigate the wild horses. Okay, so this is going to be interesting how he uses Consecrated Ground here. How can you do it in such a way that it's going to really restrict what Dracula can do? Okay, so Dracula's going to get forced out of Clermont-Ferrand. He cannot go through Marseille. Can't go through Geneva. That's good. So now you got one more spot. Okay. So this is interesting. So Dracula can only go with a wolf form, can only go to Strasbourg or Brussels. He's gonna have to misdirect one of those 2 locations, or Le Havre, or he wolf forms through Sud into Santander. I think that's probably the best consecrated ground you could have done. Just off the top of my head, I'd have to analyze it a bit more, but I think that's probably the best possibility. I still think maybe Mina should have gone into Strasbourg to block that potential wolf form. But then she's also now closer to Santander, so I don't know. It's a tricky one. I don't know what I do as Dracula. Do you just ooh, do you wolf form to Santander because you're getting man, this is difficult. There is also second renewed vigor, but these unnatural fogs are going to be really important. I've actually not been keeping track of the trades. There's too much stuff to talk about. I don't know who has forewarned. I assume it's still Seward, because I think he was the one who drew it. But I'm going to have to see on the hunter's turn as they go through in order. So Seward's in the best position if he goes to Santander. But obviously, Dracula doesn't know who has forewarned. So again, Dracula's trying to deduce what is the least risky space here. He's going to have to do some misdirecting. He's going to have to misdirect Brussels or Strasbourg or Le Havre. That's why only Santander is visible right now. You have to misdirect these. One of these. You can only misdirect one of them. I think the pressure from this vampire is too important. So I think you keep that on the board. I think you have to misdirect Strasbourg. Oh, of course I did Strider. I always enjoy it. Always enjoy my games. In the new tournament, there's no enhanced Dark Call, so none of that nonsense anymore. We're playing as per the game rules. It was a fun tournament, getting to see some different stuff. But we have a Dracula card here, obviously from the Hopes Mature. Yeah. Tricky. Yeah. Dracula's taking his time here. So he's counting the events that the hunters have too, because you want to try and position yourself beside hunters that have fewer events, because they're less likely to have stuff that is going to counter, fog or combat events or something like that. Even though both planned ambushes are gone. Problem is, if Dracula doesn't misdirect Strasbourg here, it's now just so it's so obvious where he is. So again, is this then? Is he going to try and make the hunters think? He's basically going to tell the hunters, "I'm in Santander with fog. What are you going to do about it?" And then if the hunters are scared of that, then they don't move in, which then gives Dracula information that they don't have the forewarn set up in the right way, but then he's also used a fog. So it's really tricky. Notifications. If you mean channel points, no. You can spend the channel points if you want, but you won't hear anything. So... Yeah, so he's misdirecting Strasbourg. So yeah, this is the thing that can happen, right? Dracula's turns normally take less time, but in a case like this, where if Dracula makes a single mistake here, he could just die. So he has to really think about this turn quite a bit. And obviously, Fangs would respect, as the Hunter player, I won't speak for Fangs, but I'll say it for me at least, as a Hunter player. I know if I was playing this, I would know that I put Dracula in a very difficult situation, so I would completely respect Dracula having to take more time with this move. Ooh, are you playing risky? Ooh. Because once Dracula uses wolf form, it's on the trail. But if he can get one hunter in a fight, he might be able to use Escape as Bat. And then you get the wolf form back again. Ooh, he's going for the dangerous move. Okay, I like that. I like that. He's going to try to get one hunter trapped in the fog, and then he'll try to escape as Bat against them. That's really neat. He does like fun. That is very true. The thing is, if he can escape this with a lot of health still intact, the hunters have used both Renewed Vigors and Consecrated Ground. They don't have a huge amount of strength. Ooh, and that is not the time for slow rolls here. Madness or Genius is determined by degree of success. That is a very good summary. So many times, especially as Dracula, because Dracula has to take a lot of risks here. If it works, you look like a genius. Otherwise, you can die very fast. But I've said it earlier in the video. As Dracula, you need to take risks at some point, and taking risks earlier is better than taking risks late. But this situation is a little bit different because Dracula was forced into taking a risk, rather than a risk that he created himself. I wonder if WcKaczek uses wild horses here to make them think he's gone to Santander. I definitely think there is a way here he could play this and waste Seward's turn as well. No, he didn't. Okay, so he's basically revealed to them where he is. Seward does have forewarned. This is very risky. I guess Seward could get into Strasbourg if he rolls well with horses. But then he would have to... Dracula could push him away with wild horses, and then Van Helsing moves in. The problem is, what happens if the hunters then decide, oh, I'm not going to jump into Strasbourg. I'm going to go around Strasbourg. Then you got a situation where Dracula is trapped without his wolf form. Has made them use Renewed Vigor, though. So yeah, this is very tense and tactical. I love it. I love it. I guess if we're watching this from a tournament perspective, he might use it. He might use to keep the 2v1 away. Also, that is also a possibility. But then you've got the forewarned, right? Or the fog. You could try and trap a hunter in there. So it's just going in. So now WcKaczek's got to play this very well. Do you use wild horses? No, he's not used wild horses. Oh! The forewarned is gonna... Oh! Oh, snap. Oh, snap. Okay, yeah, I think this is going to be now a very easy hunter fight, because if Van Helsing gets pushed away, he has a second turn, so he can send some emergency in. Yeah, okay, yeah. WcKaczek didn't time that well. He thought... Seward had more events. I would have been really scared of Seward, personally. He should have used wild horses on Seward to push him away from Strasbourg, and then you activate Fog when Van Helsing moves in. But I mean, I understand WcKaczek's point of view as well. Oh, the Saboteur layer in Nuremberg, so he doesn't get a second turn. Oh, that's just dirty. Oh, that's just dirty play. Ooh. Is that the lifeline that Dracula needed? The Saboteur in the lair. Probably one of the weakest encounters in the game has come up clutch here. Oh, that was sexy. Never mind, it was all planned indeed. He also baited the forewarned out of Seward, which means now the second fog is going to be even more significant. But you can still get a 2-on-1 here, 2v1 here with Mina. Oh, you're going to throw away the horses? Oh, man. Oh, this is huge. Look at Toe and his team cheering on his teammate. Love it. Yeah, lairs are not safe spaces at all. I guess there's always a risk that Saboteur is going to be in a lair, because they're normally not a trail encounter, unless it's like early on where we saw the the protection of the hoax with it. But in a situation like this, when renewed vigor's in play, Saboteur is very, very strong. As I have flipping insects crawling on me, so I'm gonna have to close my window. I'm letting in the nature chat. Oh man, this is a really tricky combat. This is a really tricky combat. I'm going to go over to Dracula's side because I want to see what his combat hand is. I wish I could see both simultaneously, but I can't. But I think it's more important to see what Dracula's choices are, and we can just maybe try and work out. As hunters here, I assume you're going to go really aggressive, try to get him down really low health. No Sister Agatha. That's really important. Because the Surprising Return did get discarded earlier, but there is a second one still available, I think. So yeah, I don't know. As Dracula here, you're really scared of the weapons, but you also know that both of them have a Heavenly Host, so can you try to fang one of them? There is a great strength. So Mina is very safe here. So maybe as Mina, maybe you just play Heavenly Host, because worst case scenario, she gets bitten, but then you got the great strength to save her. No. Punch first. Okay. So Mina's going to take 4 damage here? Yeah. So Mina's going to do 1 damage back with a punch. Okay. Boom. I think I could see both. Let's see if I can. I don't know, actually. It's possible that... it's quite difficult. Wow, it's fine. I don't want to make them very small. Or can I? Ah, maybe I can see both. Maybe not. No, I can only watch one stream at once. That's fine. Never mind. Never mind. All good, all good. So yeah, Dracula only took 3 damage there. Could have been a lot worse. The Hunters have still held on to Heavenly Host, so that Fang has a lot more potential now. It also would heal Dracula, because there's no Sister Agatha, so that's very important. So yeah, Dracula's looking at this escape as back, because he's going to have to try and escape as back here to then get the wolf form back. And he can create distance here, otherwise he's going to have a very tricky endgame. I guess what he's going to try to do is maybe get one of them out of the combat, and then try to escape as back against the other. The thing is, what the Hunters might do here is play a really aggressive turn this turn, do as much damage to him as possible, and then they both escape. So then the escape, because obviously Dracula can't escape us back here until round 4. He has to play at least 3 rounds of combat as per the timer. They're in the 3rd week, so you have to play... Oh! Seward's got bitten. Oh, that's huge. Huge, 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 huge. Okay, so Dracula basically only took 1 damage across these 2 rounds so far. Seward's Heavenly Host is gone. This is why maybe just play Heavenly Host first round. Is Mina going to play Heavenly Host? She does. But now Mina's in a sticky situation because she's only got 4 health. She could die. She's got the great strength. Dracula doesn't know that. So we know that Dracula's playing claws. What are you playing? Dodge? Okay. Oh, this is very tricky. Out of those 2 scenarios, I mean, it's tricky, right? Because if you Fang Mina, you burn the great strength, but Seward has more items, so he's more of a threat to the escaper's bat play, if that's what Dracula wants to do. If Dracula also kills Mina, that's really good, because it accelerates his... He gets some points from it. And also, Brussels is about to mature. Ooh, okay. Mina's not going to die here because of the great strength. But Dracula didn't escape his bat. But the game is still very much on here. That could have been a combat where Dracula just dies, or is reduced to so little health he can't really do anything, and then he just gets pounced on next turn. But the game is very, very open here. Very, very open. Very, very open. No. I'd say all of the combat up to that point had gone in Fangs' favour, but then it just suddenly swung with that one move there. A little bit of trolling going on. It went better. Definitely went well for Drac, that's for sure. That's for sure. Okay. So yeah, this is where, you know, now we've got a bit of a problematic situation. Dracula didn't escape his bat, so that's positive for the hunters. But they've now burnt their 3 most powerful cards. I don't think anybody can argue with that. The 2 renewed figures and the CG are gone. They have ways of catching up, but the thing is, Brussels is going to mature. Unless a hunter goes to deal with it, but then that means they're dealing with that and they're not dealing with Dracula. So yeah, I mean, that could have easily been a Dracula death there. Wait, why are Dracula marks being placed? Maybe it got misclicked by accident. Seward has Lucky Find, so that's actually not so bad. If he jumps on Dracula, he can get a 3rd item, and that's still very strong. Van Helsing still has the sense of emergency, but he's delayed today. As in the day, I always think about the day coming up next. I'm always thinking very far in advance, which annoys people when I'm doing commentary, because I'm not looking at combat, I'm thinking about the next day, and the next day, and the next day, but you have to think ahead of this. But he's still got the sense of emergency, which is really important. If Van Helsing got into that fight, I don't think Dracula survives that 3-on-1. They would just wail on him. So yeah, in hindsight, he's not delayed tomorrow, is he not? Oh no, because it's still night phase. No, you're right. He becomes undelayed right now. You're right. Sorry. So actually, yeah. So that sense of emergency is really important here. But Dracula doesn't have War Form, and there's only 4 spaces he can move into. Well, 5, I guess. You got Paris. Brussels could be misdirected, but we'll assume that stays on the trail. Paris, Brussels. No, not Brussels. Cologne, number 16. Frankfurt, 21. Zurich. And Geneva. So you've got more locations than hunters. That's not a good spot for the hunters to be in. But at the same time, do you like fun feats in place? The Brussels thing is really important. I think the fact that the hunters didn't give up any influence there is really important. Because then Brussels matures, that's only 7 points. Dracula still has to accumulate 6 more. And the trail's white. There's no pressure on the board then from the encounter perspective. There's a thin line between fun and stupid. Or madness and genius, as was said in the chat. So Dracula has to survive until week 4 here, and he has to make sure he preserves enough health to do that. If the hunters get lucky with their initial search, they could find him and get a really good... Because especially Van Helsing having sense of emergency means he can reach all of these possible locations. Guaranteed. Gramin Khan. Yeah, exactly. Also, Fangs is saying, wild horses are gone. So he doesn't have to worry about that anymore. But also, Forewarned got used. So both sides here have used quite a lot of their strength. But then, as WcKaczek is saying, Renewed Vigor, CG, Forewarned. But Dracula's also lost a little bit of health. So that means then if the Hunters just manage to get a 2-on-1 fight, they might be able to get him. Moving into like Zurich and Geneva is very risky because he can't suddenly escape into the port of Marseille because it's blocked with CG. He could look to try and get into Munich, but again, the Huns might be wise to that. Zurich and Geneva are then very, very far away from a port, and they might be able to catch him in time. Paris means he's closer to a port, but then the Hunters will expect him to go there because it's like the safest move, or Cologne is a safer move as well. So this is the kind of the tricky thing is Dracula. Do you try to play safe? Or do you do a more tricky move now, but then you're screwing yourself over for 1 or 2 turns time? But we've seen it before in these games, and also in loads of other tournament games as well, that the center of the board, the Hunters can... There's a lot of connections between cities, so the Hunters can jump on you very easily, but there's also a lot of locations that you can hide in. And the Hunters just miss you, you can slip between them. Okay, going into Cologne. I respect that move, because you've got then 2 different port cities you can move into. Are you going to put down fog now, or are you going to hold the fog till later? That's the tricky decision that's going to be made here. If I was the Hunter player, Cologne would be the first place I'd check. Because... And then Geneva would be the last place. I think the order of priority... I have to see the look at the map, but I think the order of priority would be Cologne, Paris, Zurich, Frankfurt, and then Geneva. Because again, Frankfurt's the same problem. It's 2 away from a port. So you want to check the port-adjacent cities first. So yeah, Paris and Cologne are the key locations here. But which one do you check first is the question. Unfortunately, Gadami can't get involved. Maybe you just supply with him and you might just get a hide scouts. Or you just move anyway, so then you're in better position for next turn. That is also something you can do. Do the Hunters check? See, now he's going to have to move on to a Vampire to go anywhere. But I think moving to Clermont-Ferrand for strategic reasons makes a lot of sense, even though you might end up giving up maybe a point of influence here from this Vampire. I think moving Gadami there makes sense, because if he does go to Geneva, he's really blocked in. But also even Paris to a certain extent as well, but you probably will just go to a port. Fangs also knows that Dracula has the second fog. So you really want to try and catch him this turn before he gets onto a port and can use it for free. If you suddenly discover that Dracula's used the fog inland, then happy days. Because you can jump on it in the following turn. I need to also check the trail. I think when the Brussels Vampire matures, I don't think Dracula will get his wolf form back, which is very important. I'll have to have a look at it just now. Okay, nice dodge, nice dodge, nice dodge. Okay, nice knife. Very good. Still no influence for Dracula. So in that sense, yeah, Fangs has done very well to keep that down. Has been blocking all of these Reckless Fang attacks. Obviously, yeah, the Reckless Vampire in Brussels is going to be a definite concern. Fanging again. Okay, Dracula's on the board. Dracula got a point of influence. Friday week 3, but a lot of games can just end up that way. So that's a point. But calming is out of there. But that point is very crucial, because that means then in the next phase of well, when it gets into the 4th week, Dracula only has to move 4 days to win. Yay! He's on the yay! He knows me too well. But now Dracula only has to move 4 spaces in the final week to win, not 5. But the Hunters do have the Vampire Lair. They've caught him in Cologne. Okay. Wait, where did his weapon go? Did he not have another weapon? Where did that go off to? Oh, did he trade it onto Mina? Oh, Mina had. Oh, I missed that trade. Oh, I do like trades like that. I can't remember now what he put. He put a spy there. I think you just go charging in, to be honest. Wait, what are you trading? Huh? Wait, what? I'm very confused about what's happening here. Okay, I understand the Vampire Lair trade because you want to try and stop the Brussels thing, but wouldn't a 3-on-1 just be objectively better? Especially since Mina is so low health. Oh, actually, the fact that she got traded that second weapon is actually really good for her. She didn't take any damage from those wolves. Yeah, I'm confused. I don't know what that trade was for. I guess the risk of if Mina somehow dies in this combat, then you've lost the Vampire Lair, but I think you can just win if you get Van Helsing into that fight. I don't understand. Oh, that's a really poor set of items from the Lucky Find. Oh man, that is rough. I think you just play Crucifix just because of the swing potential, I think. Yeah, I don't understand why Van Helsing didn't move in there. I don't fully understand. There's probably a good reason for it. We can ask Fangs afterwards. If it was as a defensive move to make sure then Mina doesn't die and then the Vampire Lair, but I think with just 3 Hunters, I think you kill Dracula in this situation. Dracula can't block everything. That's the thing. Dracula can only target 1 Hunter in this combat. Oh, okay. So yeah, Seward's playing a weapon. That's good. Okay, but the thing is, Dracula knows there's no Heavenly Host over here, whereas if Van Helsing got into this fight, you've now got another Heavenly Host to worry about. And that makes it much harder to try to discern what the Hunters are going to do and having to block stuff, whereas now you just play Strengths and you can block quite a lot of stuff. So yeah, I don't really like this. But we'll see. We've seen incredible stuff happen in this game across all the games we've seen, you know, in the last 3 years plus, right? So definitely, it's never over till it's over. But that's a broken knife. That is really rough, and the fact that Seward now has no weapon, no escaper's bat, you know, anti-escaper's bat potential there from Seward's side. I wonder if Dracula's going to be able to work that out. Yeah, there's been many a miracle in the Fury of Dracula land of various types for both sides of the board. So it's never over till it's over. But I feel not moving. I mean, I know Van Helsing would have taken 2 damage and everything, but I think just having the 3rd body in this fight just makes this fight way easier. But we'll see. We'll see. This is definitely looking in Dracula's favor here. Because, again, if he kills a Hunter, he'll get some points. And then the Brussels Vampire will mature. And then all Dracula has to do is just basically survive. And then he can just land to win. There is the Vampire Lair to consider as well. But... yeah. Oh, he doesn't know that Mina has a gun, I think. What did Mina do last turn? I don't remember. What did she do? Oh, she did 2 damage. Oh, she did 2 damage. She used the gun. Ooh, nice dodge. Ooh, okay. 4 damage block. Oh, and Seward punched. Holy shit. If he targets Seward, Seward would have died there. Oh my goodness. Oh, I love this game so much. Okay. So again, yeah, Mina's going to play a weapon here. She's going to play the knife or the gun, so it makes a lot of sense to play strength against her. Seward also does it, so maybe WcKaczek is trying to bet on the fact that maybe Seward didn't get an aggressive card, like a garlic or a crucifix, but Mina definitely has 2 aggressive things, so you put the strength over onto her. This is where knowledge of the discard pile really helps Dracula's advantage here. And this is why I think the 3v1 would have been so much better. Because it's just now, Van Helsing's in the fight, that's more uncertainty about what they're going to do, there's a Heavenly Host you have to consider, all that sort of stuff. You're just getting extra damage in every turn. So, I don't know. It's tough. You play by feel. This game is perfect because you've got like those really analytical, deductive players, but you've also got the more sort of intuitive players, and you've got that sort of like balance between the two. And it's very interesting when they meet. Strength into a rifle. Okay, so the important thing is the knife isn't broken here, but now Mina can be killed by claws. Or anything, really, but especially the claws because it can go through the knife, or, you know, both strengths have been used. Seward. Oh. So now Dracula knows that Seward has no aggressive cards. So yeah, if Brussels matures, the wolf form is not going to be back into his hand. It will still be on the trail. Ah, but Dracula here could just... Oh man, this is a really tough choice for Dracula. Do you try to kill the hunters here, or do you try to escape his bat? So that's what he's doing. He's looking at the map. This is a really good addition to the game. Toggling the map and looking to see if I escape his bat, what position am I escaping his bat into? Is it going to be advantageous for me or not? And I think Dracula's maybe deduced it's maybe not so advantageous because he can only get to Zurich, and then Zurich's blocked in by the Marseille CG and all this sort of thing. So that CG token is still being a right pain in the arse. If it was placed in Clermont-Ferrand instead, then Marseille's wide open, and it makes Dracula's life a lot easier. I guess you could escape his bat to Berlin, and then you go into Hamburg with Fog? That's something else? Plot meaner than killer. I don't know. Maybe. Seward's no threat. But the thing is, the hunters here might just play super defensive and escape, right? It's all a game of chicken now, right? Because the hunters don't want Dracula to escape his bat, but now that's kind of out of their control. Yeah, this is a really important move for Drac, so I completely understand too that Drac's taking more time to think about this. Because Drac's trying to think, if he escapes from the combat, he can get away from them, but at the same time, he's not gaining influence. Whereas if he tries to kill, he gets influence, but then he hasn't got as much distance from them. But then he doesn't know they don't have the second forewarned, but there's also the sense of emergency with Van Helsing. I still think Van Helsing should be in this fight. Personally. That's the thing. As I said, I'm sitting here from a position of privilege of not playing. I'm not the one with the emotional stress of trying to catch WcKaczek. But also, oh, then vice versa, right? I'm not the one getting hunted. But at the same time, you know, these videos are not meant to be critical. They're just there from a perspective of, you know, trying to entertain but also educate as well. And ultimately, we all kind of argue about how the game should be played. We don't, even though there is a meta of how we should play, there is no one defined way in terms of, you know, we all rank events slightly differently, we rank items slightly differently, we will make different decisions depending on how the game evolves. So it's not clear cut. Unless it's a very clear opportunity to kill or something, then you just say, yeah, you take that opportunity. In a case like this is not straightforward. If it was a couple of days later, if they're already in the 4th week, then you try to escape his bat because you get the influence anyway. But because Dracula's got Dracula's going to make 3 moves and then Fury of Dracula kicks in. So he's very much having to try and think about where he's going next. But he could also escape us back to Paris, actually. I missed that option. But then he's got Godalming to deal with. I don't know if he knows if Godalming has forewarned or not. We know that there's no forewarned over there. But Dracula doesn't know that. Dracula doesn't know there's a heroic leap, right? And then suddenly Dracula will just die instantly without any combat if there's a heroic leap. If the right hunter jumps on him. So, yeah, it's yeah, it's tough. Very, very, very tough. Tough decision. Oh, he's trying to escape his bat. That's interesting. Okay, so he's going for the more defensive option here. Because this is the first opportunity he can escape his bat. He's going to take it. Okay, so yeah, could have killed Seward with a claws, but didn't have it. Right, I'm going to see what... Oh, so you can remove layers now and escape his bat. Ah, that's interesting, that's interesting. But you can't misdirect the trail. Okay, so he's got a few options of where to go. I think maybe you... Well, the thing is, Non and Le Havre are going to fall off the trail once this Brussels thing matures. So you don't have to use the misdirect. Yeah. It seems like WcKaczek was also caught. Yeah, me neither. Yeah, so it seems like both of them were kind of no claws. Yeah. No mares, yeah. So that, again, because Dracula's combat hand is random, you are drawing from the same deck of cards, but you're just drawing from the top. You're not guaranteed certain cards. So, if the... What did he do? Missed? I blinked. No, Gyro. Why aren't you in here? Gyro, if you're watching this, why aren't you in the Twitch? With all of his insights. So... Oh man, Geneva's such a ballsy move. I think that's maybe too far over the stupid side of the stupid fun line. I don't know anything about Amsterdam because you're gonna get kind of trapped in there unless you hide in Amsterdam. Maybe the hunters wouldn't expect that. Maybe that's maybe the sneaky play. Okay. So again, we won't know until the end of the game if that was the right decision or not. The thing is, like, Mina now can heal up double with Seward. So yeah, it's that's good for the hunters. The hunters still have time. They've got the vampire layer, so they can reduce the influence a little bit. So actually, yeah, Dracula will need 3 days. She can also scan. Yeah, oh, that's actually really important. Oh, you're playing Hypnosis? Whoa. Okay, I didn't expect the Hypnosis. Would the scan have been better? Problem is now you've used Hypnosis, and Dracula knows you've used Hypnosis. Oh, man. Oh, I didn't see the Hypnosis coming, to be honest. It makes sense, because Dracula could have been in 3 regions. Well... I don't know. I think, again, we're sitting here from a position of privilege, Strider, so I wouldn't use words like that, personally. I guess you know it's not Italia, because there's a risk. If you know it's not Germany, you don't know if it's Paris or if he's going Zurich, and then you have to try and check Milan. And that move into Milan to check could mean that Jack is actually in... Could he get to Italy? Yeah, of course he could get into Zurich and Geneva with the escapist bat. Yeah. Of course he could have. Yeah. He was in Cologne. He could go through Strasbourg and go into Geneva or Zurich. Yeah. There was definitely potential there. And also then, if he's in Geneva, he could then go into Paris. So he could sort of work around that hit or the psychic scan a little bit. Even though Paris would probably get checked. But also then Milan's a huge risk. Munich's a huge risk then. So I think I wasn't expecting the Hypnosis, but in terms of immediate efficiency for the hunters, it's good. It's good. I just... Yeah, so Dracula's looking at this item. He doesn't... What? Oh, yeah, why is it upside down? What the fuck is that about? Why is there an event that's upside down? What the hell is that? That's not right. Oh, it's lucky find. Oh, why is it face down? That's weird. Okay. A small bug in the code then. That's all right. We'll get that. We'll get on to Nomad about it. um, okay, I'm actually make a note of that because we might need it for the tournament. So yeah, the hypnosis actually was good for the immediate efficiency of the next couple of turns. I know Mina's going to lose her turn, but the hunters know exactly where he is. They don't have to waste moves trying to find him. They can pound, they can surround him. There's no trail to deal with. Blah blah blah. But the hunters have now lost a valuable item card, valuable event card for late game, trying to find where Dracula is going to land from sea, and they don't have CG. So yeah, this is very interesting. Very interesting. If they just get Money Trail, then obviously that's going to change everything. But they might not. The hunters can't keep their event luck forever. But I do like Godami's position here on the English channel because if they get like an evil presence or something, and that tells you a lot. I think Dracula there wanted to save his fog. I mean, I guess the fog makes sense. Because then you could... Alright, I didn't expect the sense of emergency. Are you just going to give Seward lots of stuff? Okay, I didn't expect that sense of emergency, to be honest. I think maybe just going to... not would have been better, but okay. But he can also heal. Oh, okay, okay, never mind. Gyro says good sense of emergency, so I'll take it back. Gyro is in with the hot take. So if Gyro says something is good, then it means it's a good thing. I mean, I guess, again, for efficiency's sake, it's good, because you can do this trade. Now, Seward is really, really strong for combat. They do get to do the double heal. It's just, I'm worried that the hunters will not have enough strength to find Dracula once he's landed. Huh? Oh, what? Why has Van Helsing got Seward's horse? Huh? What's going on? I'm so confused. What's going on? I thought you were going to give all the strong stuff to Seward. I'm confused. I'm very confused. Unless they're going to do a double trade, are they going to then trade tomorrow? And then he gives the horse back to Seward? And then... WcKaczek has no idea what items Seward has? I'm really confused. I don't know what that trade was. Okay, we'll find out. We'll find out. Ah, okay. Okay, I understand. Okay, so he's preparing Seward to potentially jump into Edinburgh or something, and then he doesn't need fast horses if he's going across to the UK. That makes a lot of sense. There's definitely a logic to that. There's definitely a logic to that. There's definitely a logic there. But Seward is bitten, which makes him a bit risky if there's a Heavenly Host play or something. Yeah, there's definitely a logic there. The thing is, now, Dracula can only move one more sea space. So does he just land in Edinburgh? No, he's moved. Oh, I should have looked where he went. Oops. Okay, we're going to have to play a guessing game. Where is Dracula? Is Dracula in North Atlantic or is he in English Channel? Because it's the adjacent one's North Sea. If you suddenly draw an evil presence now, that tells you everything. Oh, hide scouts. That's not the one, game. That's not the one. That's not the one. North Sea? Wait, he was in North Sea, Strider. Where's he gone after that? Oh, there's the heroic leap. Okay, that's huge. That's huge. Okay, so you don't have to worry about any combat stuff. But Dracula is going to be one health, so maybe it doesn't matter. Just in case. Here come the Dracula events. There's only... Oh, the heroic leap was obtained. Hide Scouts was useless, and 2 Dracula events were drawn there. Yeah, okay, this is tough. This is really difficult because Dracula's going to have to land before he gets points. North Sea to English Channel. Yeah, I guess it doesn't matter where you move because local rumors and evil presence would give you the same information. Um, and he knows there's no consecrated ground, so London's not gonna get a CG token put in, and then you're screwed. Maybe hypnosis doesn't even matter in this situation because you're not gonna be able to play it quick enough to be able to find him. Oh, he went to North Atlantic. Ooh. I wonder if Seward should have gone to North Atlantic with excellent weather there to threaten the possibility of him just jumping on top of him in Galway. I wonder if Seward should have done that. Because now Dracula can get one space away from Seward every time. Oh, wait. He got... Wait. Where did Dracula get the event card from? Was there a night supply that I didn't see? Wait. Where did Dracula get that event card? Chat didn't mention anything. He got a hidden schemes. Not exactly useful in this situation. Oh, wait. He's on 2 health. Oh, there must be something to do with the timing of the turn. He can actually move another C space. Oh. Oh, it happened on the switch. Okay, I understand. Okay, because I was looking at Fangs' screen, so I thought Dracula couldn't move another C space, but he actually can. Ooh, it's actually kind of big now. Because he can go Irish or English Channel here or South Atlantic. Oh, and he can land as soon as Fury of Dracula kicks in. Oh, that's actually really good for him. If he had 1 health less, this could have been a problem. I still think maybe Surge should have gone to North Atlantic. But maybe not. This is tough. Galway? I don't mind Galway here, actually. Because Seward's always going to be a turn behind you. And you know there's no renewed vigor. Yeah, actually, I kind of like Galway. You could put Fog in there. And you could do, like... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I still... I don't know if that sense of emergency was also good either now in hindsight. I think you need to get somebody on the North Atlantic coast as well. You need to threaten all options. I don't think having 2 in Amsterdam is really good here. Yeah, he's trying to look at what... Also, then you could threaten excellent weather onto Galway as well. Whereas there's no possibility of that. Yeah, I still really think a 3... If there was a 3-1 in Cologne, I really think we'd be in the post-game chat right now. I think Fangs would have won it. In my opinion. Well, there are a couple of really cool things with like the renewed vigor. You'd have really liked it, Gyro. There's a saboteur in a lair that stopped Van Helsing, but Fangs for some reason didn't take the 3-on-1. He did a trade with Mina to take Vampire Lair off her. So yeah, I think there should have been a 3-on-1 in Cologne, and that would have been GG. I think. The Saboteur Lair was just awesome. I didn't see it coming, so I keep... Because WcKaczek takes his moves so quickly, I didn't see the Saboteur going into the lair. Sword's well equipped, that's for sure. But he needs to move, that's the thing. They need to actually move. Hello, Gyro, by the way. So yeah, I think there was a real missed opportunity there. I think you could have just killed Dracula, so then the Vampire Lair is not even needed. And I wonder now that the hunter's just going to be too passive. They're digging, but I don't know what they're digging for. Oh, he got a stake. Oh my god. Okay, so Vampire Lair can be played. Well, it's not GG yet. Because Vampire Lair's going to be played, and WcKaczek's not going to be expecting it. So WcKaczek's going to land, thinking he only has to move once more to win. But then he has to move twice. And that might just be enough. But Mina doesn't have excellent weather. Because you can only play Vampire Lair during the day. I think also Vampire Lair would be a better card than it is if he can, if you can use it during the night. Then it'd be a pretty good card, Vampire Lair. It'd be much better than it already is. Still get the delay effect. You can hide, it's not enough. Well, no, but he's gonna play Vampire Lair tomorrow, right? If you take Vampire Lair off now, Dracula's down to 6 influence. He needs 7 to win. That's 3 days of movement. And all it takes is Sewer jumps in on him. But the problem is the vampires are all out of their lairs at night. Oh, so they're not in the lair. I see. I see. I see. Okay, thank you, Gyro. Okay, so yeah, this is going to be very interesting here by WcKaczek. He's also got hidden schemes. Oh, so he could create like a triple thing with the hide and everything. Oh man, but there's also Heroic Leap. So Heroic Leap might just be enough. Oh, he's moving to Dublin. Yeah, I think it's going to be really hard. I don't know if the Hunters can catch him. This is going to be really tough. I still don't like Van Helsing going across. Because you're leaving the west side more open. No, he doesn't have forewarned, that's true. But then again, WcKaczek doesn't know that. But I guess he'll just ambush anyway. Right, okay. What is Fangs going to do? Don't know. Yeah, Dracula just having that one extra health made all the difference. The fact he's able to move a third sea space. Oh, not a good time to roll slow, but he's not even in South Atlantic port anyway, but still. Excellent weather. Where are you excellent weathering to? Okay, yeah. Oh man, this is going to be tough. This is really, really tough. This is really, really tough. Ooh. Yeah. He's looking at Ireland. I think Dracula could just stay on the spot, that's the thing. Well, oh yeah. He could just hide on the spot, then feed, and then just move into the hunter. Yeah. Hunters here are making a huge gamble that Dracula didn't go into Ireland, but because there's no consecrated ground, Ireland is very safe here, especially since there was no hunter on the North Atlantic coast for quite a while. Yeah, Mina has no event. I think they needed to start. I think they actually need a night supply. They need to try and magic their way up, like magic some sort of like lucky, not lucky find, like a second excellent weather on Mina, or scouts or something. But this is where the hypnosis would have been really good. Or if they draw, so they didn't get the money trail, and actually the lack of money trail here has been really detrimental. I think you lose here if you don't night supply. Hide, feed, win? Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. That is, is there any way... No, they can't get off. He got a card! Oh my goodness. What did he get? What did he get? What did he get? What did he get? Will we know? Summon Storms! Of course he did! Oh my goodness. I mean, it's just interesting, right? That the Hunters got a lot of really early stuff going in their favor, but it's just Dracula was able to ride out that storm very effectively, and those wild horses were very potent. And yeah, Dracula's now safe. He's completely safe. There's no consecrated ground to worry about. I think Fangs did like the right stuff in terms of the renewed vigor play and the CG and stuff. I just think I think there was a bit of a mix-up in terms of the clone fight. I think Van Helsing should just sense of emergency his way in there. Just take the 3-on-1, and I think you kill him. Because we know that 2-on-1s can be very swingy. Very, very swingy. He rode out the storm to summon them. Oh! Good job, Strider. Nice. When Sud lost his knife to Strider. Also that. The fact he was able to escape his bat then. Yeah. Yes. That was also really important. Yeah, that was also really, really important. So what we'll do is, it looks like, yeah, this is going to be, unless something crazy happens that we're not expecting, yeah, it's going to be a win for WcKaczek. So what we'll do is I need to take a 2-minute break. I will run the trailer for the League of Dracula, and then we'll have a little bit of post-game chat, potentially, with WcKaczek and Fangs. Make good luck good again. Good again? I guess it was very powerful in like 2nd edition or something. Something like that. Oh, another Dracula event. I mean, they had to appear at some point. There's been all Hunter events. Oh, there's the muddy trail. Oh man. The deck is such a cruel mistress. It has a very cruel sense of humor. I mean, there's still 25 cards in the deck. It's but there's so much good early supplying. That's the thing. Oh, then you get newspaper. Oh dear. Yeah, unfortunate. I don't think the use of Hypnosis was actually the killer here, because Hypnosis has like a delaying effect to it, and without Speedy Telegraph, the Hunters would have been so delayed it wouldn't have made a difference anyway. Oh, another newspaper. No, I don't either, Terminus. That is the one. That's the one thing about this game I don't fully understand. I guess the whole risk of the risk of a hunter dying and then the vampire lair gets lost, because Mina could have died in that combat. But I just still think you just take the 3-on-1. I think you just kill him anyway. I think, but maybe I could be wrong with that. It's again, we're not playing. We're not the ones in the game, right? Oh, double hidden schemes. Just for the bans. So Jackson's going to take an extra turn here. Imagine we're playing in a tournament. He's trying to get his IDS, the tiebreaker mechanic, up. Yeah, Iris C is blocked, so there's no excellent weather that could happen. Yeah, look at his hideout. Classic WcKaczek things. Classic WcKaczek things. 4 encounters in Dublin. Poor Dublin. Like, good luck to remove the 3 vs 1 for sure after not. No, I think the Hypnosis was actually really good, Geordie, because Dracula could have been in 3 regions, and it would have made the Hunter's life really tough if they didn't know if he was in Italy or not, because they'd have to do a lot of really inefficient searching. So no, in hindsight, the Hypnosis was actually a really good play. It meant that they knew where he was instantly, and it forced Dracula to go to sea. He couldn't do any additional hiding. But yeah, I think the Van Helsing had Heroic Leap ready. Yeah, but if you don't get a hunter onto him, then Heroic Leap doesn't do anything, unfortunately. Yeah, Island is so good here because there's no consecrated ground. That's the thing. So this is very much a game where Dracula was able to look at what the hunters had used, and that allowed him to play accordingly. But he had to write out 2 renewed vigors and a CG, and there was a lot of really close calls in there. Yeah, I know. That's true. I mean, we know that Dracula's the second fog. Maybe Fangs forgot there was a second fog there, but at the same time, you have to move a hunter on, because if you don't move a hunter on, you're not going to, you have no chance. I'll just moderate your language a little bit, Shroud, if I were you. Yeah, it's really tough, and I think like the fact that just Ireland is such a good landing zone here, especially Dublin, because it's really tricky. Then you can't accent weather on very well. You can hide in just Dublin persistently. Yeah, the lack of a second forewarned is pretty important. Yeah, good game, good game, good game, good game. There's a lot of good stuff going on in there. Very tense and tactical. It's not the game I was expecting. I was expecting to see a lot of sort of layering shenanigans from WcKaczek, but he definitely respected the potential of Godalming and Mina to do some damage with those double planned ambushes. So yeah, definitely a good game. Yeah, the Saboteur was MVP there. The fact it stopped the potential 3-on-1 in Strasbourg, yeah, that was huge. It was very good. So yeah. Um, so anyway, I'm gonna take a quick 2-minute break, but don't go anywhere because we'll get Fangs and WcKaczek on the line for a little bit of a chat. But yeah, just give me 2 minutes, and in the meantime, enjoy this. Alright, let's see. Can you hear me alright?
Yes.
Oh,
Loud and clear. WcKaczek, you're still muted with your microphone.
Yes. Can you hear me well?
Yep, all good.
Loud and clear.
Okay, awesome.
GG will play it.
Good game.
Thank you, thank you. Back at you. Seems like you trained a little bit because I had to pull every possible trick I had.
Thanks for that. Yes, I have played several Hunter games lately. If you look at the looking for Fury channel, you'll see that I have played several lately.
I see, I
Uh,
see.
Very tense and
Mm,
tactical game. That's for sure. A lot of key decisions
yeah,
throughout.
I think the biggest mistake I made was not was using hypnosis instead of a neural psychic bond. Yeah, I obviously you get my reason behind doing so. I but I but I think but the fact that I didn't have money trail meant that I should have been a bit more reserved about using that. If I had had money trail, then I think what I did would have been justified. But without it, not quite. It wasn't quite enough for me to do that.
I don't know. I'll provide.
yeah,
I don't know how you feel about WcKaczek. My 2 cents on that would be I was surprised when the hypnosis got used, but then once we examined the map more carefully, the fact that WcKaczek could have been in 3 regions, I think it was
yeah,
justified. And I think without Speedy Telegraph, I think hypnosis is almost useless later because I don't think you would have had time to play hypnosis and then also get onto WcKaczek's space. Unless WcKaczek was playing very sneaky, but in the end you played very safe and you went to Ireland and everything. So I think hypnosis wouldn't have been useful in that circumstance. Obviously, the lack of money trail was a different issue, and yeah, that obviously was key. But yeah, I don't know how you feel about that, WcKaczek.
yeah. I think first of all, I saw that there is here and there was no speedy telegraph, so these are two factors that like really diminish value of hypnosis. And also, I don't think you would have even enough time to capitalize on that. If I land, you spend entire turn waiting for hypnosis, then I hide in my fog, and you need to kill me right now, and the next turn I win. So I think actually the hypnosis, yeah, especially as Scott mentions, I was able to be in different regions and in all apart from Germany, there was like one city, I think. So if it's not Germany, you know my exact location.
There were more. There's Amsterdam, Hamburg, Leipzig, Berlin, but also yeah
Yeah,
Zurich, Geneva, and
Right.
Paris. But it's just the fact that if you get into
Ah,
Zurich and you're not detected, you can suddenly make it into
yeah,
Munich or Milan, and then the hunters save a lot of
yeah,
turns not having to check those locations. I think the hypnosis was actually a justified choice, even though
yeah,
initially I was like, oh, why is this? That's a very strange decision. But then as soon as we looked at the map, I was like, no, that makes perfect sense to play hypnosis in that moment.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. I will say that look, guys, you definitely did an excellent job of making. Uh, I was holding on to two RVs for the longest time, but for like a day after day, I had 100 like with a bat token delayed or in one way or another that made it suboptimal.
Yeah,
which Scott's
that was
which Scott's why I would value your input on how I used my RVs and CG.
I
Uh,
I mean, I'll be honest. I said it in the comment. I have to. It might be one of these things where, with hindsight, I'll go back and see something different. But I think the RVs and CG were played optimally. It was just the issue was trying to get that trying to work around the wild horses. And I think this is something that we've seen in this
yeah,
game, which we've maybe not seen very often because wild horses is not a card that Dracula often has. But the threat of wild horses is so great, almost more than just actually using it. But I think the CG
yeah,
was used correctly. The RVs were used correctly. Um, it was just trying to get that crucial 3-on-1, which wasn't able to be done. But the thing,
yeah. The fact that he was able to horse Van Helsing into a saboteur, which otherwise I would have been able to use the
right?
sense of emergency I was holding to get him on anyway.
Yeah, that Saboteur was real MVP. I'm interested with WcKaczek with that particular where we had Strasbourg. Seward moved in. You chose to fog him, but he was the one with forewarned. But then in the end, it worked out because Van Helsing moved in. You pushed him into the Saboteur. How much of that was just serendipity? But how did you know that Seward had the forewarned? How much of that
no, I
was
didn't.
premeditated?
But I don't have to know. Like if he doesn't have forewarned, fogging this is good. If he does have forewarned, I'm still reasonably safe.
You
Okay.
still have
Nah.
a quote unquote backup fog through the horse, through the wild
Yeah.
horses. In a
Obviously,
certain
with the
sense.
saboteur, especially when you have wild horses that are play around wild horses. But if I can push you into saboteur and deny you the actions, this is
Yeah, that
especially
is especially annoying.
yeah, especially quite expected that you don't expect that. So you play around that and then get trapped because this is not something that you can actually play around. But
Yeah,
I laughed to myself then, like a little bit of evil laugh.
well, the thing is, the thing that's worse about it is just the previous day, I had had Van Helsing supply and discarded dogs, which would have
Yeah.
prevented that. Even
Wow,
though,
but he had rifle, bullets, and heavenly host. So right, so he wouldn't have discarded the dog. He would needed to discard the
no,
dog.
I mean Van Helsing.
Yeah,
I
Yes, you would have
I
been able to block the saboteur. That was the point. Yeah.
yeah,
the point is that I would have blocked the saboteur and that I would have gone on and it would have been a 3v1, which would have likely meant that I would have killed you.
definitely. But you wouldn't hold dogs there. That's that.
Yeah,
In most cases, this is bad decision.
yeah.
So
But
wait, so Van Helsing had sense of emergency, right? So why didn't you sense of emergency me 3v1 on Brussels? Actually, I think
Or
this
Cologne.
was
Yeah.
it may look weird, but when you look back on of what was happening, I think the Brussels was it Brussels?
Cologne.
Brussels move was the
Cologne.
most risky move this game by me.
Oh,
I,
the one where you left Strasbourg. Yeah.
Yes, yes, because that was a 3v1 when I had Wolves and like eight.
I
So what happened there was
well,
Seward moved it. So Godalming checked Clermont-Ferrand to potentially block like Paris and Geneva movement. Seward went into
Yeah,
Cologne, didn't ambush, and I was just sitting there in
Cologne.
commentary going, okay, Van Helsing get into this fight, Mina get into this fight, no wild horses, 3v1 guaranteed. But then there was a trade that happened, and Vampire got taken off Mina and ended up being a 2v1 in the end. That was probably the main thing I wanted to ask about.
You wanted to protect the vampire lair there. Makes
That's what I was. My reasoning for doing that was at the time Van Helsing only had Heavenly Host did not have a firearm. He only had a crucifix. Other than that, in terms of
oh really?
combat stuff,
Oh,
I
I thought he had a gun.
uh,
No, I
I
thought
don't
he had
think
a
so.
rifle.
Yeah, wait, yes, I suppose he did, but I suppose, but on the other hand, he would have been he was already damaged by two from something else. I think bodyguards that he disarmed recently, and then sending him down to four would have given you only one more target. And it would have been all the more of a guessing game as to who you're going to target with the claws. So I decided to try to feign, and also since you did an ambush, I for all I knew it was a fog. I I decided to feign a forewarned trade to Mina,
Ah,
I to
hmm,
try to evade something like that.
yeah. Well, at this point, if I have fog, I fire it anyway. Like, it doesn't matter if Mina had only one event, it was forewarned. I still fire it because what's good fog for me when it is 2v1 incoming,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Yeah, in retrospect, what I should have done that day is I should have had Seward and Mina horse over Cologne to the two ports to cut you off that way.
But you didn't.
Yeah, but you didn't know
Uh,
if I'm going
You
north
did.
or south.
Yeah, you didn't know if it was Cologne or not, because he could have been a Paris move, and then you'd have a free movement into Nantes or Le
Yes.
Havre. That's the only
yes,
issue. Yeah.
yes,
Or I
but then
think
I
it
have
was south
Godalming in
too,
the
right?
area.
To Italy.
Hmm.
Yes, but then I have Goldaming and Van Helsing with sense of emergency for that to cover that area. I
So from my perspective, then I'll have to watch the footage back. I didn't realize that Van Helsing didn't have a weapon. If he didn't have a weapon, then I understand because then obviously we knew it was a wolves and clones. That's 4 damage plus the 2 damage from the sense of emergency. Then his influence in the fight is not so great. But if he did have a weapon and he can block 2 damage from the wolves, then suddenly there's a 3-on-1 where then there's also a heavenly host in play. Whereas I don't know how you feel about this, WcKaczek, but I would feel as a Dracula player, you knew those only weapons with Mina and Seward. Whereas if you suddenly got a heavenly host involved, then you're trying to work out, well, do I Fang? Do I Strength? What is it? Whereas then if there's only weapons, it's more straightforward, quote unquote.
Yeah. That's the one of the greatest powers of Heavenly Host is it gives
Yeah.
you some impact even if you don't use it, right? When you need to do the guessing game, like if I play Strength or Mesmerize, I'm safe because in the case even if you match Mesmerize with your punch, it's like okay, 1 damage is then from free from knife, for example, right? But with the Heavenly Host involved, this is like completely different game. You waste Fangs somewhere and suddenly you open yourself, or yeah. So that's why I was like quite happy with the fight in the second fight against Mina with Seward, because I was able to break weapons left and right, and I was even considering, do I even run away, or if I have 2 hunters in claw range without the great strength, do I stay and like Fang Seward into his punch? So the worst case scenario, I lose 2 health, but I have 2 killable hunters, vampires soon to mature, and maybe I win this way.
I think it's also a bit unlucky too because Seward had used Lucky Find at that moment, but the selection was terrible. It was only a crucifix or garlic. Then you didn't know that, but maybe you could have done a little bit of deduction based on items, but still, there was no active combat cards, so you just had to hope that Seward didn't have a second weapon and he only had a crucifix.
Yeah. Usually in those situations, the most common scenario is that the weapon is like crucifix or pistol. So I was a little bit hesitant on the like retargeting Seward. Showing crucifix probably was a mistake. You were still able to hide possible rifle find, I think.
Yeah. But
It's not like I would fang you because you know what? I'm not fishing for Heavenly Host, but I'm still wary of crucifixes and garlics.
I was hoping you would miss that round since I had just punched. I had hoped to catch you off guard
I
that way.
see.
I
Yeah.
and well, you knew that Seward had a knife, so or whatever he had.
Yeah,
I
it was a
don't.
knife.
He had nothing at this point because I broke it.
Yeah, well, true. Yeah, he had the knife. I think maybe ironically, I don't think you drew mesmerize. I don't think you could have mesmerized, but again, you don't know that.
No.
You don't know that going in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting a fangs. I was expecting a mesmerize on one of the hunters at
Yeah.
some point or another to try to threaten that they will, since both of them were bitten, were weakened.
Yes.
That was another way to kill them. I needed.
Yeah.
I was trying to intercept that since I had just punched.
This is ironic about this combat because I had quote unquote the worst hand because I had strengths and plottings, and usually starting a fight like that with double strength is a blessing. But right now I was able to kill both hunters in both ways, and I knew the great strength is out, so the hand didn't
at least it
play
did its
into the
job.
situation.
Well, at least Great
But
Strength did its job.
Did.
yeah. I mean that's true. That was an interesting part about this specific fight is that basically any hand was good in that situation because claws are good, strengths are good, mesmerizers are good, and fangs are good basically.
Yeah.
Well,
Worst case scenario for you would have been triple escape and double plotting. I
if I
obviously.
plotted against Seward round 1, I kill Mina round 2, so that would be good too.
I That's not true because you recall that she had 4 health at the beginning.
Yeah,
So long as so long as uh Mina parried claws.
Mina used rifle round one, so
That is true. But then again, that would have meant that you would have scored a hit with the knife, and you would have just taken far too much damage. So therefore, that would have been you die in the end. You would have gotten more influence, but but
well,
yeah, we can
that's
debate about
just
it all
what
we
is.
like. We can debate about it all we want, but
Quick question for you as a WcKaczek, because obviously you haven't played too much recently. So how was it coming back and having to play? Did you feel a little bit rusty with certain things? Obviously, also at the beginning of the video, I was talking about how you like to do this, quite aggressive layer strategies and all this sort of thing, and then it turned out to not be that type of game. It was just a classic chase me around the board kind of game, and there was a lot of sort of deductive work that had to be done there. Anything in particular, anything in particular from your side, especially in the start, you didn't go for the sort of layer strategy that you've kind of become accustomed for. So, was any reasoning behind that? How is it, playing Fury of Dracula again?
Yeah, well, first of all, it was fun. I felt definitely this is funny. I felt that some habits just kick off. Like when I saw my hand, I mean, like immediately knew what I can do, and I went with the most comfortable strategy. Uh, so with the hoax and saboteur, and then I had like aristocratic, so this like full delay. So this is fine. You need to remind me to play it a bit slower because that was easy to decide then. Definitely, I felt very rusty with the combat. Sometimes I felt what is correct, and I did different things. My reckless vampire died because I forgot I used plotting to stop Godalming from escaping.
right.
So I thought, yeah, I can just mesmerize and be safe, right? Because if he punches, I just stop. And then last round, if I need, I can escape as missed. But if he knives, maybe I'll fang him, right? Something. And then he just kills me. And I'm like, wait, why my plotting didn't go off? And fortunately, there was plenty of fights with vampires. So I
You were able to
drew,
oil
yeah,
yourself up,
yeah, yeah.
so
I
to
got a
speak.
little bit accustomed with the possibilities and that combat thinking just in time for our glorious 2v1. I really wanted to do something more fun, but I feel that my reputation a little bit ran ahead of me, so I was able to just sneak from the east, just missing Stewart
Yeah.
running east, and the hunter searching me. For sure, he stays east. It was so tempting, but Encounter Hand didn't allow me. I just had to play what I had at hand.
Right.
Yeah, that hoax maturing at the beginning influenced so much of the game. Because
Yes,
I had to choose my horse destinations far more carefully. To
yes,
like you doubtless notice how I was intentionally choosing the spots where if you wild horse me, what do I care? I
yes. Like Godalming, after when he was wounded, he went to the east port. Varn, it is Varna,
Constanta.
Constanta.
Santa
Yeah,
Urbana. Those are the
yeah,
two
yeah.
Black Sea
Godalming
ports.
went to Constanta.
Avoiding. I was there. Well, what are the cities? I don't remember this game almost at all. Like uh, I was
You'd gone Bucharest, Klausenburg, Budapest at that point.
right, Bucharest. So I was sitting on Bucharest with bats, and Sofia was spy and bodyguard. So my idea was, if Godalming goes to resupply because he was damaged, like he had 6 health, I think, and
Definitely down an
without a
item.
stake, if he goes
Yeah.
Godalming, yeah. If he goes to resupply, and we will have a night fight, and I just cloak him for 4 damage. I push him to spy and bodyguards, and he can die there. If not, I can misdirect and go back to finish him. And I'm not worried that Mina can jump and help because I can always wild horses her away to make sure that it was a 1v1. So there was some opportunity for aggression, but you played very cautiously there and intentionally avoided. So I didn't have the real to kill anyone, which makes me quite sad. But the game was still fun and exciting, and it was
Yeah.
very
It
the-
it is something that's semi rare in the community, at least for me, playing against someone who's uh who who's just as good at combat at play as I am. Because I've always said that combat tends to be my specialty and my strongest suit in the game, and that and you'll notice I had chucked away quite a few stakes early. I The reason why for that is because I play to my strength in combat. I tend to value stakes less than others because I am confident in my ability to just push my way forward if I need to.
I think also it helped.
I
It also helped in this game in particular because we were talking about it like in advance, like why Eastern Star is so strong, even if you don't do layer stuff. Just because it's so hard to resupply if the item distribution doesn't
yeah.
really work out for you. There's also movement issues. But then if you add layer situations on top, hunters can get really beaten up, and then Dracula's like, I don't care. I'll just move beside you because you're not going to jump on me because you're going to die. But
Yeah.
a lot of the early draws really went in your. There was no real opening. The hunter, there was like both files horses in the east. All the white ones were obtained. There were good
Yeah.
weapons.
Oh yeah.
There was, the item distribution was very strong, so there was no weakness on at least on the eastern hunters at the beginning, which definitely helps combat this type of start in general.
Yeah, about that WcKaczek, I got extremely. I cannot tell you how lucky I got on the white ones. Golden got double white one right off the bat, and then
Yeah, I
the
saw
follow.
that trade. I saw that Eastern Hunters stopped ticketing after like night two or something. So
Yeah,
it was
I had all
telling.
I had all, and then after me, and then and night one, Goldamin got up to double white one. Mia traded them off, and then the next night, Goldamin got the last one and a yellow one.
Yeah.
Just record time. It took me a little bit longer to actually find the horses themselves, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, one takes what one can get since info was a little bit lacking early. I kind of.
Yeah.
And
But
by the
I
time
got
and by the time I
I
learned
got
Sri Lanka, I knew I would not be able to get there in time and stop it. I
yeah. Yeah.
so I
That
kind
that
of
was lucky part for me because without wild horses, it would be much riskier to just stroll around between hunters and just walk away from the east. With wild horses, there's always the safety net that I can limit the fight or even turn the fight upside down for hunters' disadvantage. So it gives me ability to play to to make plays that would be risky but are fairly safe and efficient now. Even with the wolf form, I hoped that you will pay attention to me clearing Valona lair, and that you maybe will think that I wolf formed to Valona. But I saw that you checked few spots that you had to check anyway,
yeah.
so it was quite high value. But without wild horses, if I had to play next week in the middle of the Europe against three horsing hunters with the risk of CG, scouting events, and revenued vigors, like suddenly I can make a decision to wolf farm and then lose the game 5 days later.
Right, because on cooldown and you
Yeah,
can't. You got no safety net after that. Yeah.
yeah, and I found your wolf farm relatively quickly. More middle of the road, I would say. It wasn't like instant, but it wasn't that long either.
I think you got. Oh, you go.
It was about what I expected. I was able to put down some some annoying stuff. Open with vamp to just butter you a little bit, and then a lot of delaying stuff to buy me time to get my Wolfram back.
Yeah, I would also argue as like a counter, like the wild horses is a very good way to showcase it, but at the same time, if you're getting a hoax mature at the end of week one, you'd hope for more than 4 events, so you weren't given a lot of options in that circumstance. So in that situation, it was a very clear choice to pick the wild horses. The fact there were 2 of them sitting there was kind of sad, but still.
Yeah.
This was, what were your other options? Do you recall?
There's 2 wild horses, Sensationalist Press, and Summon Storms.
Sunstorm, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So the choice is pretty clear, but there's so many hunter events at the top of the deck. That's the thing.
Yeah. Summon Storms week 1 is really good pick, especially East. You can easily go to the sea and use it in Cagliari, or even go to England at some point. Summon Storms can be very strong, but at this point, I think this game really showed that wild horses can be the most flexible and most powerful event, because there are situations when I was exiting East, usually this is super risky, CG can wall you off. It is easy with Renewed Vigor to even 4v1 with rails and horses, but suddenly, wild horses can change that math. And then obviously when I was using Wolfram and then baiting the Renewed Vigor with my Clamor Varand move, I don't think that any other event could give me so much room and so much value. Because even with Unearthly Swiftness, right, or Darkness Returns, okay, I move 1 tile further, but maybe I die before I can use it, right? If you know that you don't have to play around wild horses, you can move a little bit differently with hunters.
Yeah, more directly than I did.
Yeah. The way that you know that your last move, for example, needs to be with rails, which also ruins your horse's economy, which ended up playing a role also. There were many parts like that.
Right. Wild Horse is more reactive than an Unearthly Swiftness or Dallas Returns. And also the fact that it actually, I was saying it beforehand, it sucks that the hunter knows that you have wild horses, but then again, it plays into this psychological aspect that the hunter knows you got wild horses, so they're going to change their behavior and you might be able to manipulate that. And also with Unearthly Swiftness and Dallas Returns, you want to save it for 4th week, but you might not ever make it to the 4th week. So then it's not going to do anything.
Yes. So sometimes you just die, and wild horses help you not die, and also narrower, make more narrow hunter behavior, so it makes them more predictable, right? So this, I like when hunters are predictable.
Well, maybe that's then maybe the way to counter wild horses is just hunters play as normal.
To be honest, I didn't consider that. The biggest risk for me is that Fangs didn't have Renewed Vigor, or has Renewed Vigor and ignores my wild horses, and Godalming just horses normally to Marcellus and then to Clamor Varand to be as close as possible, and I'm there, and then suddenly everyone can jump in 4v1 me. But what were the odds for that, right?
Yeah, I mean, then again, that Clamor Varand move left you mostly just wide open for me to blow the CG on you, which I think that was a CG well used. Because
I
there
also
was
yeah,
there was a heavenly host buried deep in the deck, so while you were leaving the east, Van Helsing was still digging for it. I So unfortunately I couldn't have boxed you in there.
well, you didn't know exactly where and when I am. So CG is very risky then, but
Mm.
yeah, I think the CG it depends. Sometimes if you start using resources and you don't get much out of it, it can be good to hold back and just regroup. But
Yeah.
sometimes, you knew my exact locations, which doesn't happen often. Usually you have a good guess or a 50-50. So this is
Yeah.
and you had me surrounded. My will form were two locations,
Mm.
Yeah, I
right?
had a
So,
Santander, which Gul'damen was the one right next to it. Which, in retrospect, I could have made it. You have to tell me where. Had I simply not put one on Clermont-Ferrand, like give you the option to hide or whatever, but put the other one on Bordeaux to cut you off from there, from going to
yeah,
Spain.
Mm.
yeah,
In
yeah.
retrospect, I could have
Okay.
done on that, but yeah, there are lots of ways to do that one. I think.
Yeah.
Lots.
I
The thing is that wild horses also help me with that, because
Yeah.
I can hide with fog, and it makes much the guessing game between forewarned and fog is completely different then, because I have like almost two guesses.
That you do.
It's a very interesting game. Lots of small, minute decisions, which is what we like to see.
Yeah.
Very good
Yeah,
How
it
was,
preview
from your
for the
perspective,
tournament.
Scott, to see both hands? How that changes your, I don't know, approach to understanding what is happening in the game, or commenting, or like stuff like that?
I mean, a lot of it is just then a lot less hypothetical.
Mm.
I'm not playing the guessing game in terms of where's Dracula, apart from a couple of turns where I didn't move across quickly enough, so I didn't see where you went. But
Ah.
that's the big that was me. That was not your fault. That was me just being too slow to move. But when we do our normal commentary, a lot of the commentary is built upon the risks of where Dracula should go. This is more a case
Yeah.
of I'll watch you like as a Dracula player, for example, right? Considering the places you have to go, and then I talk about the specific ideas of why you should go to this location or the other. But then, because then you know where Dracula's gone, then you're thinking more about you the focus is suddenly switched. You don't have to imagine where Dracula is. You're immediately going back to the
Mhm.
hunter side and going, right, we know where Dracula is. What is the risk for the hunters if they don't check that location, etc., etc. Which is kind
Mhm.
of it's
Nice.
a really neat way of seeing the game. Obviously, we wouldn't ever do it in tournament play just because of the risk of people
Ah,
abusing
yeah, 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 sure.
Discord.
Unless you just, yeah, 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 yeah.
Um,
Unless you just record it and post it after the game.
yeah, but then obviously the problem is that no, the problem is obviously in this case I know you two wouldn't look at each other, but what happens if you get a player who then looks at the Discord perspective of their opponent because it's not hidden.
Ah, right. Well, you can just make some double call, like two different calls, maybe,
You can't be
or
in
two
two.
different.
That's the problem. You can't be in two VCs at once. That's the problem.
I see.
So that is the big
Ah,
downside to that. Um,
okay.
there might be other ways around it. You might have to use maybe a separate app to then for the second person, but
Well,
it's
Yeah,
not
not
it's,
or
it's
two
not
accounts.
impossible. But
that would actually only be when you're commenting solo. But if you had a co-com, on the other hand,
well, then you could one looks at one screen and one shows the other. But then obviously the person who's recording would only be able to see one perspective.
Yeah.
Unless you both recorded and you found a way of stitching the video together, but then that would take a lot of editing time, and then that would just reduce the number of videos that
yeah,
are created. But it's not impossible
fair
for a
enough.
one-off game. For a one-off game, it's definitely not impossible. But it definitely it allows it to be more educational in the sense that you can actually see what the player is doing, and you like I talked about it in the previous couple of videos we did where think about it as a Dracula player, you'd see Fangs make a move, and you did it too as a casual, where you'd say, "Do you want to move to this location?" and then you immediately go, "No," and you backtrack from the move and go, okay, I'm going to reconsider my options again. So there's actually quite a big difference. Obviously, I know when we spectate normally, you can tell how long a person is thinking, but it's quite a big difference between somebody who just instant locks that decision or somebody who moves and then decides, okay, I'm going to back out of that decision. I'm going to back out again, and then you see that thought process in real time, which I think is it's definitely neat.
I can imagine that. Yeah.
It's
So also, usually when you comment, usually would be a better way, but to play, but you don't know because maybe the player has something or has some plan.
Right.
So there's always, the benefit of a doubt.
Yes.
And now you can just criticize straight up because you have full knowledge. So you can just say, it is definitely bad decision. Don't do this.
Yeah.
I think
much like how it was in the first video. Stop flying! Stop flying!
Yeah. Peter had to move. But then again, there's still obviously the element of hindsight, right? Also, and I said it in this video too. The way we value cards, even though we all play in the same game, we all subscribe to the same meta, more or less. We all value event cards differently. We all value item cards slightly differently. So there's still going to be that room. There's going to be room for error in terms of why someone picks a certain decision, why you don't do this or whatever. Whereas, the normal commentary we do, it's more speculation. It's maybe more entertaining when we do the normal commentary because you can play the game in terms of where's Dracula, what's going on, who has what items, blah blah blah. Whereas this is more educational.
Sometimes surprise can be bigger.
Yes, and you get more emotional reactions out of it. So I think that the two things serve different purposes, but they're both good. That's kind of the way I view it.
Yeah. But out of curiosity, WcKaczek, have you seen either of the previous two videos?
I saw one you versus Snuff had a really convincing win, as Scotzer was describing. Like this wasn't even a close game, but then the bug interrupted the game.
Oh, that was a tough one because there was a lack of a feed, which would have made it a lot more tense at the end. It was just then the combo that Snuff had just meant with the bug it was going to be the result was more clear. It was still a close game. From what I remember, it's still a fairly close game though.
Yeah. That was poor attempt at a joke on my part here, but yes, it is definitely sometimes interesting. Very useful for upcoming tournament, to closely to be able to evaluate who does what where.
Yeah, which you should see the first game if you want to know one of my tricks, where I successfully evaded Pete's wizard.
You can't show off all your tricks before the tournament. You got to keep some things hidden. That's the cool thing. Yeah, let's see.
Yeah.
Well, unless
sometimes you just prepare for the counter for the trick, right?
That's true. Or just do it anyway.
Well, the thing is, I already am. What I'm referring to, WcKaczek, I'll just tell you, since I imagine a lot of the folks in your audience, Scott's have already seen it, is that I literally did a wolf form hide right next to Seward, anticipating that he would move so I could go right into where he was. I took advantage of the fact that doing a wolf form provokes the reaction of checking crosswords like Marseille and Munich, etc. But when I do that trick, I always do something like along the lines like wolves mob. Like I do like double damaging encounter or like spy plus wolves, spy plus bodyguards, something like that. I always am prepared to punish a solo hunter who comes there. When I do that.
Yeah.
But in any event, you need to close out your stream, Scott Sword?
I'll probably close out the stream and spend 5 minutes. I've been ignoring chat quite a bit, so I'll talk to them for 5 minutes. But is there any final comments from you two before we end the video?
From my okay, go ahead. Thanks.
No, I'm more thinking. Say your thoughts, and I'll
See what I can think
So
of.
thanks for organizing it and reaching out to me. Also, thanks for Scott to participating and casting. That was a big fun. I haven't played in a long time, so it kind of reminded me how fun Fury of Dracula can be. I was wondering if I even want to participate in tournament, and now my decision is much tougher than before. So I need to collect my trophies and my thoughts.
You got plenty of time to decide still. There's not a rush.
Well,
Yeah. I'm glad you enjoyed the game.
yeah, and for my part, there are only so many people who are. It was definitely. I just love the game in general, and the best part about the game is even though this is the third, even though so far I've been in every single video that we've done this way, Ace, the best part about this game is that every game is different in one way or another.
Yeah.
It's it never stops. Getting it never fails to surprise you in one way or another. uh, and well, and that's just such a great feature of the game. And well, with the tournament upcoming, I have already signed up. So I I know I know that my strength is with Dracula, so I do need so to be able to practice my hunter skills on someone as skilled as WcKaczek at Dracula, who honestly I think WcKaczek may well be quite possibly the best Dracula of the community. He, while
Oh yeah,
you and
no doubt.
Pete, while Scotsword and Pizza Wizard are the best hunters, I that's at least how I think of things. To be able to practice against you, WcKaczek, definitely is a pleasure, and I I will keep wild horses in mind for such as immense nuisances. At the very least, there was no Mina the horse killer. That's one reprieve.
Mm. Cool. Cool.
For YouTube, you probably won't understand what we mean by that, but but that's something of a meme.
Thank you, you two, for playing, and yeah, thank you, Fangs, for helping to organise this. And yeah, we'll I guess we'll see you, Fangs, in the upcoming tournament. WcKaczek, we might see you in the tournament. We'll have to see. We'll play it, but we've got still loads of time to decide if we all want to participate or not. But yeah, thank you very much for the game and the chat. Much appreciated. And I'll speak to you very soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Bye, Twitch, YouTube.
Okay. So yeah, everybody who's watching on YouTube, thank you very much. If you're watching on Twitch, I'll wait for 5 more minutes, and I'll say because I haven't really talked to you very much. So I'll spend 5 minutes with the Twitch chat before I go to bed. But everybody who's watching on YouTube, thanks for watching. And yeah, if you're interested in the tournament, I'll leave links down below, or you can go and check out the video of the trailer on my Discord, on my YouTube again, or you can join the Nomad Discord community, or send me a message on Discord, and we'll be able to get you involved. And yeah, really interesting game, this one. Lots of sort of key decisions. I'm now really intrigued. I'm gonna have to go back and look at Van Helsing's items more carefully, because I feel really bad if I was really criticizing that lack of 3-on-1 play in Cologne. And if Van Helsing didn't have items or didn't have weapons and things, I completely understand not moving Van Helsing in there. There's a lot of tough decisions. I need to watch that back and see it. Lots of really cool things, and yeah, we've all kind of got the same sentiment that the game is just really fun. And I think, yeah, I'm really glad, especially after the last video where we had the bug and everything. It was really good to see this one to conclusion, and the fact we had a really, really close game. It did go on quite a while. I'm looking at the stream. I don't know how we've been streaming for almost 3.5 hours, but the video will be a little bit shorter. But yeah, it was a really good game, and I think it showcases how good this game is. And then we do get these occasional Dracula events, how potent they can be, different playing styles. We had the combat, we had encounters and stuff, so it's also really good stuff. Very intense indeed. So yeah, everyone on YouTube, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in another video of Fury of Dracula very soon. Take care. Bye bye.